up, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs altimeters 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, please.
Ever departure Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, Pilots 4658 is type PC final slam call request clearance to Vegas S-file.
Lotus 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S-file, and I'll be full route stepping. Lotus 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport via flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs, Victor 370 to 29 Palms, Victor 538, Cresso, join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Check flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7. Squawk 6316.
Pilots 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Presso 3. Initially climb 7,000, expected to reach 5, departure 167, flight 6
Plus 4658, free back is correct. Tango, you might connect to the ground via Aqua.
Taxi to the right via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237, Charlie Alpha, Roger, inner left, traffic, left downwind runway 26, left before base.
Enter left downwind 26 left to before your base, 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, returning for right base starting.
United 242, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170.3.
Clear to land, 20 right, United.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1. Number 237, Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Left base land 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ground Pilots 4658 is trying to weather going for taxi.
Lotus 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the island.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear low approach, report minutes.
November 2903 Alpha, Lower Road, runway 9, next to North City.
Palm Springs Tower Pilots 4658 ready to go trail right back Bravo.
And it was the radio area check.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff trail right Pilots 465.
Here's our Yankee Kilo, Roger, taxi into the ramp via Alpha. Lotus 4658, contact so departure.
Contact departure 465.
Cessna 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking base.
We're sending Charlie Alpha, and on this frequency, taxi into the South ramp via Sierra.
South Empire Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha. Thanks.
November 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed?
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, Roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying public mid-road procedure, November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency 135.4.
135.4 for departure, November 2903.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound ILS 26 left. Number 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower, good afternoon. Ontario, wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 on Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear the active uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, Roger, taxi in the south ramp via Sierra, remain on this frequency.
Via Sierra on this frequency 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, Riverside route, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to the transient partner.
Number 2903 Alpha Riverside ground in the future. Don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. Should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the whole short plane. Stay on this frequency for now. Taxi to ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha. Okay. That's transient via Alpha.
Runway clear. Runway clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike at Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 rate.
Cherokee 76 Charlie Mike John clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 16 Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. Which you guys
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 visual 1 on the right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 1 right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel. Remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, right hotel, right frequency 58 465.
Ground number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Piper Comanche PH4/Alpha. Taxi be active VFR east departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach Ground, need you to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and east ramp just south of runway 25.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger, runway 26 right, taxi via Kilo.
Okay, 25 right via Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short of 25 right Kilo, ready for departure via parking east.
Around 16 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right downwind departure.
Clear for takeoff 25 right, right downwind departure 6 Whiskey Alpha.
Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning Hotel Tango. Eastman, India, close traffic, 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango tonight, Palm Springs, ground, say good aircraft type.
Brace is Nesca.
Skyline Tango, any Mike, thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31
We're center 791 Juliet, towards ground left.
Okay, Sky 700, we see there's no clearance delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground. Just say your intentions.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet, type Cessna 172 on the south angles with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249 is 2061.
Got 901 Juliet, read back is correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just gotta go around to the start. Sky 700, south angles,
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right taxi by Alpha and Juliet, Sky 700. Palm Springs Tower, Skyline Papa Tango, Mike is one short runway 31 right, Bravo, and ready for departure, close traffic.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. IFR, first IFR flight today. I'm so excited. I'm so curious also to see how a full IFR flight, my first complete IFR end-to-end flight, is going to be like. I mean, up to now we've been practicing all of these separate chunks of the IFR flight, so the departures and the approaches and stuff. And now we're going to actually tie those all together into one complete IFR flight. I've been longing for this day for such a long time, even at the start of my channel. As I mentioned in the previous streams as well, I was already looking forward to that day when I finally would start my first IFR flight here on PilotEdge. So this is a special day. I'm also a bit anxious, to be honest, because I'm not completely sure what to expect. I mean, I did a lot of ground school, a lot of study stuff, but now I actually need to experience and do it. No autopilot flying by hand. I need to get also a routine going using my GPS, but also just plain old slant alpha navigation. So I need your help, guys. As co-pilots, please help me succeed. We're gonna do another IFR flight soon. Then from a non-towered airport to a non-towered airport, just to prep myself for the I ratings. And again, we could use the I ratings for preparation. That's what they're there for. They're kind of like a curriculum, the I ratings, but I like to frame those as my check rides. So I like to prepare for the I ratings and then do them. 733, thank you so much for joining in. Hope you are doing well. Appreciate your presence here. Finish, as always. Good day, sir. Good to see you. Digital, also very good to see you here. I know you've been busy. Appreciate your presence here. Perron and my dad. Hello, Dad. Wonderful to see you guys. What we're going to do is do some pre-flight planning, and just for the sake of a full IFR flight, let's just also include the walk around as well. Also full weather briefing, just to have a good sense of what we're dealing with. Generally, we got good weather today, which is nice. There was some cloud layers at John Wayne. We're going to fly from Palm Springs, where we are at right now, to John Wayne Airport, which is a nice flight. Obviously, I start from Palm Springs because Palm Springs is my favorite airport, the first airport that I've flown to on PilotEdge and made contact with HC, with Marcus at the time. So it is fitting, I think, to also depart from Palm Springs here and to go to some other very typical classic airport, at least in the PilotEdge arena, which is John Wayne. This is the flight. You can see also now not a sectional VFR sectional chart, but the IFR low chart. So pretty, and again, it's much more minimal in a way because you don't see the terrain and stuff. I mean, we're interested in flying flying across these different waypoints. So it might be a bit unfamiliar if this is the first time when you look at this. Now, I've been studying these charts for quite some while to know all the symbology and stuff, and I'm still learning. I think I will always keep learning, improving on my IFR knowledge, but also my flight skills. So gradually we're gonna go through. Also, what I'm also planning to do, if I gain some, when I gain some more experience, is to actually do a nice video, edited video on how to plan for an IFR flight. Because if there's something that I didn't found in a complete kind of sweet kind of video, is how to actually plan a proper IFR flight. What are the considerations? So I think it's nice to just summarize my learnings there and just to give back to the community as a sim pilot, by the way, not a real world IFR pilot at all. Hey Linus, good to see you as well, buddy. Good to see you. Here we go. Exactly. Palm Springs to John Wayne. There's a lot of stuff here that I've been studying that I'm not going to cover in this particular video. So again, I'm going to summarize all of my learnings in a separate video because otherwise we'll be here for the entire evening just discussing all of the different symbologies and considerations for making a IFR flight. If you spot anything during my flight today that you think, hey Tim, is that smart, or some other tip, please share. I'd love to learn and further improve, which I can also then incorporate in that summary that I can give back to you. Okay, so this is the flight. What are we talking about? We're talking about a 100 nautical mile flight, which is going to take us, according to ForeFlight, about an hour to fly. We got a 4-knot headwind, as you can see. I hope you can see there at the bottom bar there of the flight plan panel. What you can also see is if you look at the flight plan above, you can see KPSP and then PSPN 18 and then KSNA, right? John Wayne Airport. Now that PSPN 18 is a tech route. So because this SoCal, the Southern California area here, is such a airspace dense, airport dense area, it's actually much more efficient. ATC prefers us to actually just not go from departure to center and go through the entire chain of A to C, but actually stick with approach, so that the approach controllers can just coordinate our flight in a much more efficient way. And they have preferred routes to fly, especially in these dense LAX area, airport area. So that's what we're using today as well, a tech route, the PSPN 18 tech route, which consists of many waypoints, obviously, as you can see on the map as well. And we can refer to this tech route also in our flight plan once we're going to file it in just a few minutes. One thing though that I note, which confuses me a bit, I've used preferred IFR routes using the FAA database. I've also been looking at the top routes, assigned routes that have been assigned by PilotEdge in recent months. PilotEdge provides insight into that information, into that data, and strangely, it doesn't include this particular tech route. I don't know. I think I followed the right scheme here to figure out what IFR plan we need to fly, routing we need to fly. But there is a chance here, as always, that ATC might actually amend this particular flight plan and might give us other waypoints to fly, and we get quite an elaborate clearance. So I'm curious to see what will happen here. And again, that shows you that I'm not completely knowledgeable of what all the considerations should be to get a nice IFR routing going. So I have to see. Anyways, so that's a tech route. Let's have a general look at the weather first. Now, as you can see already, looking at all of these flight category depictions here, weather depictions, green, 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 so VMC all around, at least terminal. Always good to look at the forecast. We can look at the TAFs, which also look good. But I also like to, again, go back to those wonderful weather charts that ForeFlight provides. You can also find these online, not only through ForeFlight, but also at the NOAA website, weather charts. They're so cool to study. These are my favorite ones. First, general idea, what is the weather doing? No fronts, high pressure area, so usually that indicates good weather. So that already gives us a general idea of what to expect. Now we can see some AirMet information here. Looking on, we're only interested in the Southern California part, as you can see. IFR and fog there, at least over the ocean, which is usually the case. It's always important here to look at the times here. So this is valid to 1500 at around 1500 Zulu time, and we are currently at 1700-ish Zulu time. So this is already a data chart, but it's good to again look through these different weather charts so you develop an idea of what the weather is actually doing. These are snapshots, right? So it's good to browse through these to get a sense of what's going on. As you can see, this is already 1800, which is in our terms now a forecast, and you can see that the weather is actually has improved already, which makes sense because now it's the sun is rising right in California right now, so that will heat up stuff and clouds will evaporate, and usually that indicates that the weather or makes the weather improve, which we can see here as well, which is good. But again, I'm noticing that I'm already looking at these weather charts as a VFR pilot, right? I'm looking for VMC or marginal VMC weather, most preferably VMC weather. But now as an IFR pilot, we can expand our destination airports because we're not limited to weather anymore, which is obviously, practically speaking, a great advantage of being an IFR pilot. For me though, I just like the technical stuff of it, so I don't really care. And obviously we're flying in a sim, so we can change the weather whenever we like to, but I'm noticing that I'm still thinking like a VFR pilot, which is interesting. Let's continue. This is already 2100 Zulu, as you can see, so very, very much far in time, and I'm not interested in this at all. The significant weather chart, the most interesting one, I think, the most informative one, here 06 Zulu time, so that's very long time ago already. Marginal VMC and some IMC over the waters, and also some freezing levels. If I look at those bluish dashed lines, freezing level above New Zealand, okay. But obviously, if we move on here at 18 Zulu, which is again a bit of a forecast in our case, you can see there's still marginal VMC there, at least forecasted, which would be perfect for us. I would love to arrive at John Wayne soon with some cloud layers, so we just pop through some clouds. We'll have to see. Okay. Again, this is another one, but now starting at 1200 Zulu, again still dated, so not interested in that, and this is too far ahead, and you can see that that marginal weather is gone, which confirms the charts that we just saw, right? Generally already we know that the weather is improving, which these charts confirm as well. So again, developing an idea of what the weather is doing rather than what the weather currently is, right? Now looking at the satellite imagery, again, high pressure area, you can see that also in terms of weather and cloud thickness, not a concern to us. Ceilings, this is at 1200 Zulu time, which is actually quite far away. I would expect it to see something around 1800 as well. You can see this is marginal VMC-like here around Southern California. Again, at the coast, but John Wayne is also located at the coast. We can expect clouds perhaps around 6,000 something. I don't think we're gonna pop through clouds today. Again, farther away in time, or is this yesterday? 1800s. What's the date today? Can I see that here quickly? No. I guess it's still the 18th. In any case, we are not concerned about clouds or thunderstorm segment kind of like. Now again, you can see this chart also shows you precipitation. Precipitation here in the area. Again, none also confirms what we already know about the weather, which is nice. So we can go through this as well. Then the visibility, also non-existent, at least at 2100 Zulu. That looks good, looks good, looks good. Again, confirms what we already know. Wind speeds. Yeah, I'm usually there are many wind speed charts here at different altitudes because the wind changes on different. It's different at different altitudes. And usually at VFR flying, I'm around 6,000 or so. And the higher you go, the stronger the winds become. So I used to work with 6,000 feet, but today we're actually going to fly 10,000 feet. I think if we are going to fly the plan that we filed, if ATC allows us to do that. So we're actually interested in the 10,000 chart here, which I actually have not loaded here. So I need to update these favorite weather charts. Let me see. Wind speeds, but we can have a general idea, obviously. Let me see. What's also interesting is, again, which also always confuses me a bit, and I should study a bit more, is I see the wind barbs, but I'm a bit confused to what direction the wind is actually flowing. We could just simply look at a meter information and then we know, but I think this indicates that wind is flowing northbound, right? Coming from the south, I think, which is also usually the case here in the SoCal area. And at 6,000 feet, it's pretty strong, or pretty strong at 20 knots or something like that. Is that correct? 15? Not huge, but okay. And again, these are also forecasted, as you can see here on top, 1600 Zulu. So this is actually still dated. This is a more accurate chart, and you can see that the wind is actually a bit less strong. Hey Haley, good to see you. So there, Roger, digital, thanks for sharing. Yep. Winds, so winds are not a concern to us. We have a bit of a headwind, bit of a crosswind, I guess, during our flight from Palm Springs to John Wayne, from the east to the west, looking at these wind barbs. Freezing levels, and as you can see in summertime, that's not a concern for us as a 172. But it's always good to know, especially in combination with moist in the air, right? So freezing with clouds means probability of icing. There's also a chart that gives you that probability, and you can see none, at least at 7,000 feet and 1700 Zulu time. I love these charts. It's so interesting. I've actually got another app which I have not prepped, and I think here it is. That's the SKUT Log Pro app. Don't know why ForeFlight has not incorporated such data in its ForeFlight app. This is something that Keith showed us at the PilotEdge forums a long time ago, and is actually very relevant, I think. It shows you kind of like a vertical slice through sky at a particular airport, and shows you actually the vertical column of what's happening there in terms of clouds and winds. And this is important because if you remember the charts that we've just been looking at, also with the METARs, they usually tell you the cloud base. But as an IFR pilot, you're also interested in the tops. When you pop out of clouds to pick a nice cruising altitude or to circumvent thunderstorms or whatever, or pick a right weather. Well, ForFlight already tells you the different wind speeds at different altitudes, but the STU-T Log Pro can show you that. Now, again, I found this one and I immediately got it, but I'm not really practiced in getting what I want. So let me just very quickly show you, hopefully show you. This may take a while. Connection will time out after 60 seconds. Well, STU-T Log Pro, there it is. Yes, so a lot of information here. The only thing that I know from a pragmatical kind of view is that when the red line and the blue line coincide, that shows that the temperature and the dew point, I think, are the same, and that's where you can expect cloud formation, cloud forming. And as you can see now, these are very, very much away from each other, so no clouds, no clouds here at Palm Springs, at least. Current, yeah, this is current. This is already dated at 1700. Well, if I look outside here in the sim, I do see clouds. So perhaps I'm mistaken in looking at these, trying to understand this STU-T-Log chart or diagram, or explain might not have been updated yet in terms of real world weather. But this is a very interesting chart. Now you can see it goes very, very high up. So we're actually only interested in the lowest chunk. I think I can even zoom in and look at more precise information. This is very interesting. I need to study this more, especially now as an IFR pilot. You need to look that up, I think, if you're really serious about IFR flying and weather planning, obviously. Okay, so in terms of weather, we are just fine. Again, I've also mentioned that I've updated my checklist, available as a free download on UncertifiedPilot.com. Includes many more items, also IFR items, because as a IFR pilot, you need to be very, very sure that all of your instruments and stuff, also as a VFR pilot, obviously, but especially as an IFR pilot, that your instruments are working, that your static air outside static port is free of any rubble or stuff. Right, and also in terms of procedurally, during your cruise, that you brief the arrival and set the clock. Oh my gosh, set the clock. That brings fear to me. As you know, I always forget to set the clock. But when we get, as soon as we're going to get our clearance, IFR clearance, we also get a expected altitudes, right? Climb to 3,000, expect 10,000 in 10 minutes, right? That is in case of lost communications, and I hope that that will not happen today. So in the case we lost communication because our radio fails or our mic fails, we can still continue our flight in case we are in total IMC, and get to that expected altitude, so ATC knows what we need to do, and we know what ATC expects us to do, and in that sense, we need to know how many times, how many minutes have actually passed after our departure. So that kind of stuff, and that's what I summarized now, updated on my checklist. So hop over, latest blog post at UncertifiedPilot.com. You can grab this for free, which I'm now also trying to follow. I need to be much more systematic with doing my checks. And I already mentioned this a couple of times, but I should really. Fill your carburetor heat, it will be fun. Yeah, we don't have carb heat Linux here in the 172 SP. But sure, yeah, I already ran into engine icing a long time ago. That's also interesting, especially, and that's also something that I did with Mrs. Uncertified, which she helped me here in the cockpit to set me up for all kinds of weird failures, engine fires, electrical fires, you name it. And she was quite right to say that even though that's good practice, I know that something is going to happen, that some kind of failure is going to happen, which already is a very important bias, because in the real world, or here when we are flying our sim, we don't expect failures. At least I'm not all of the time, and so these failures like carburetor heat or icing or whatever are silent killers, and so you need to be very, very keen on looking and spotting the early stages of a failure. So fun, which we can practice obviously here, and sometimes Keith just jumps in and sets me up for such a failure, and the first thing that runs through my mind is Keith online? Is Keith in the chat? Because he's always giving me something to work on, which is very, very good. It keeps you sharp. In this case, though, in this flight, I hope that everything is okay and I can just familiarize myself with IFR flying. Okay, so context. I'm very good at context, but not really to get started. Again, so flight, we looked at the weather, looks good. In terms of, let me look at the checklist, routing, yeah, alternate. Again, we have so many airports to divert to. As an IFR pilot, we need to file a flight plan now. We could also do that with VFR flying, but now with IFR we have to. And we also need to provide an alternate airport. Now, there are actually all kinds of rules that you need to follow to pick the right alternate airport. It doesn't really matter that much. You don't have to fly to that alternate airport in case shit hits the fan, but you need to have some kind of plan if the FAA wants us to have some kind of a plan there to escape any IMC or whatever trouble to an alternate airport. And in this case we have so many airports to divert to. Also, we got perfect weather, VFR weather, VMC. So I picked Ontario, also has ILS approaches, does have alternative IFR minimums, but again we got good weather, so that's fine. So I picked Ontario as my alternate. In terms of terrain, well, we're flying quite high. Again, this is the tech route, which also a preferred route, and the FAA prefers us to fly at least 10,000 feet. Well, that makes sense if you look at this particular routing at the MAAs, so the minimum en route altitudes. You can see this one is 9,500, so 10,000. We now have to fly on even altitudes, right, instead of the VFR altitude kind of scheme. So we're flying at 10,000 feet with a 172, which is quite high actually. We don't have to put on our oxygen mask, unfortunately, which might be fun, but it's high, so I'm not sure whether we're actually going to fly this route. I'm curious to see what the clearance delivery is going to tell us. Anyway, that's 10,000. In terms of winds, we can look at 4 flights. We can expect, yeah, a bit of a headwind. Makes sense of in reference to the charts that we've just been looking at, the weather charts, which is fine. We have to deal with that. Cruising altitude diversions, well, plenty of options. Non-towered airports, I don't even have to look at that. Fuel, we have enough. Weight and balance, I'm just on my own. It's okay. Airports, facilities, Palm Springs and John Wayne have all the facilities that we need. Runway lengths are perfect. Also in relation to, I mean, it's not only that you look at the runway length, because obviously what it is all about is, does that runway length, is that sufficient enough for you to take off also when you are at a high density altitude, for example, high density altitude airports. So that should also be an additional consideration here, like I experimented, right, like I demonstrated with Big Bear a few streams ago. My gosh, what a difference that is to depart at what was it, 7,000 feet, and we set the temperature, outside temperature, to 40 degrees Celsius. Wow, that was, I felt like a 747. That was really, really interesting. Anyway, so that's fine for today. And in terms of frequencies, we can set those up very, very soon. Good. So that means we can file our flight plan. Our first IFR flight plan. I'm going to file. Guys, let's do this. File flight plan. Not really the first flight plan I filed already some time ago. This is just all sample. All right, so Cessna 172, we got a Golf, we got GPS, origin, KPSP, tab doesn't work, destination. And again, guys, I know that it's a small step for many of you, but a giant leap for me to just do this. It feels so new and fresh. KSNA, routing. Now, I can paste. That's nice. I think I've already copied my route here. So this is the routing. No, that doesn't work. Paste. Yeah, that does work. And not really necessary. Can I also remarks? Can I put that in? Paste? No. PSP and 18. So if I understand this correctly, again, you can see this is actually the routing, the actual routing of that tech route. So this is actually the entire tech route, but then elaborated or outlined in terms of different waypoints and Victor Airways that we're going to fly, including the SID. So this is, I'm expecting this SID. I'm including this in the routing as well. I'm not quite sure whether that's necessary. If I listen to my buddies at the Discord closely enough, that is correct. Usually you also give up a star, but in case, because we're now flying a tech route, the tech routes do not all tech routes do not include stars, because then you need to hop over to center as well, and they just like you to stay at approach, right? So no stars. So we're just flying to the Seal Beach VOR, which is also the first VOR, the initial approach fix for the instrument approach there at John Wayne. I'm doubting whether we're actually going to fly all the way down. If you look at this, it's not really that efficient. But again, this is the preferred route, so I'm expecting that once we are here at Paradise VOR, that hopefully ATC says, well, Tim, this is the vector. I will vector you to the final approach fix, or just before the final approach fix, and we're going to skip this all. But again, in terms of lost communication scenarios, it's good that we are have a route where we end up at a vortex that we can then use as a starting point to fly a full approach. So what's really fun, and again, I'm going to explain this in more detail in that future video, summary video. There are very subtle things built into the ATC communication system and flight filing system that is there specifically for the case when you lose communications, which is nice. And now if you study IFR, all those little things make a bit more sense. And well, no doubt I will learn a bit more, but those are nice findings, I think. Thirdly, I always see this on PilotEdge and I've always been confused. One of the major advantages of tech routes is you don't have to file. Am I missing something? Well, there are some tech routes that are from one airport to the next. But you don't. You can also. The FAA and PilotEdge also likes you to, like in the real world, use a tech route as a bit of an en-route chunk of a routing that you can use to then as a starting point to fly further on to some other airport. So it can also be again a chunk, a part of your IFR filing. But you're absolutely right. I think there are some tech routes that bring you from John Wayne to some other airports, and you don't have to file anything, and you can just say, I'd like to fly this tech route, and then ATC will accommodate. Also on PilotEdge, I think. In our case, this is the tech route, and I think I need to. Again, I'm expecting that this is okay. We'll have to see. Because in this sense, the tech route also brings us from Palm Springs to John Wayne, including this SID. So I'm not sure. 733. We're gonna see. I think we're gonna get an amended clearance here. Also looking at this, yeah, there's so many subtle things that I found interesting that we can talk about. But I just like to fly. As you can see here, this is actually not it is a waypoint, but for people who cannot. For pilots who cannot reach that waypoint, this is actually a radial from Paradise VOR, so this vortex, 270 and 30 nautical miles. And if we look at the map, that's this little chunk here. You can see that's not part of a airway, but it does bring us to Randall, which is a waypoint. Now, I'm not quite sure why they don't put Randall there. I guess because Randall is a GPS kind of point. No, it doesn't make sense. Not quite sure why they frame it like this in terms of a radial. Perhaps you guys know. In any case, when I'm going to put that into my GPS, I'm just going to put in Randall and then turn around. Again, I'm not expecting that we're going to fly this weird thing, but we might. I'm not sure. Digital, if you get the readback correct at first try, I'll buy you beer. Thanks, Joost. Yeah, I have the same feeling. It's going to be challenging, but again, we can just ask to repeat. There's no problem here. Again, it's a training network, so this is what PilotEdge is all about. It's fun. So this is the routing, altitude. So one other thing, again, if you can look these tech routes, I'm going to show that in a future video. This goes beyond this stream. And can I show you this? No, I cannot. Every tech route also has a altitude to fly, cruising altitude to fly, and it differentiates between different kinds of aircraft. So a jet can fly higher up than a turboprop, or just a piston aircraft. Well, we're a piston aircraft. So for this tech route, we are actually asked, I guess, or required to fly at 10,000 feet. So that's what we're going to do. True airspeed is okay. And again, I always thought about this true airspeed like, oh, we can just put something in, but which is kind of okay, at least according to your aircraft performance. But you're actually required to fly at least 10% or was it 10% or 10 knots plus or minus that cruising speed. If not, you need to inform ATC. So it's good to think a bit about that true airspeed. Now this is an average, obviously. If there's one phase of your flight where you fly a bit faster or a bit slower, you don't need to immediately contact ATC. But as a general rule, because they are expecting you to arrive at a particular airport, right? So that's important. Alternates. That's Ontario. Remarks. This is not really mandatory, but I read somewhere on the PilotEdge forums that it's good to provide the actual name for the tech route as well, so the controllers know what we're up to. It's not really necessary, I believe. I think you can even put this in here instead, and it should work. But I'm just following this guideline. And with hours, minutes, well, 1 hour and 8 minutes. I look at my flight. Fuel, I don't really care. This is it. Double check. 172 Golf, Palm Springs to John Wayne, Cathedral 1 departure with Palm Springs transition. There are different sits, by the way, but usually it's the Cathedral 1 departure I expect. We might get another departure, but this is the one that I'm expecting and filing for. This seems to be all correct. 10,000, 115, alternate is it. This is the tech route and route. It's done, guys. I filed my first IFR flight plan. I feel a bit anxious. Here we go. It is filed. My first IFR flight plan is on file. Now, nothing really happens now. It just means that we are in the system. There's no day, no particular time where we're going to depart. I think in the real world you do have to put in your expected departure time. In this case, PilotEdge doesn't really care. Good. We filed our flight plan. I'm going to do the full complete walk around quickly though, but just to be complete here. It's a complete IFR flight. I think that's fun. Okay. On pause. Yes, and sync. Thank you. Our nice little Cessna 172 here on the ramp, east ramp at Palm Springs. My iconic outside view being on the ramp is this particular picture. I love Palm Springs. Let's do a cold and dark test first. Already the first check is actually, is our plane parked in such a way that when we start up we can actually taxi away and we are not blasting any dust or stuff into a hangar or to another aircraft. Well, that's far enough for me, so this is just fine, so we don't have to reposition the aircraft. Parking brakes are set, fire extinguisher and stuff, let's pretend this in the green. Door is closed, window is closed, ELT is set to auto. Again, not interactive, but I'm just pretending that we can change that stuff. Flap lever is up and our flaps are up. My mixture is working, my throttle is working, trim is set, fuel tank set to both, in. Not care about that. Avionics are off, everything's off except for the beacon, and off, and my side deck panel works too. Wonderful. Also interested in my ailerons, so do work right now. That was a fun stream last time, guys. What am I doing? No, I need to be systematic about this. This is right. Yeah, that one goes down, that one goes up, and that one goes down now, and that one goes up. Roger. Get my elevators. Good. And my trim tab works too. Rudders work. Wonderful. Okay. So thirsty. It's so hot here. If you follow flight plan but don't open it, how long will it stay active? 2-3 hours, I think. That's a nice question, Digital. I don't know if that also counts for PilotEdge, guys, but it makes sense though. It makes sense. Now I used the checklist. I should use the checklist to check whether my flow was correct, rather than just going item by item, which could be distracting. It's better to just do the flow. Remember, practice this, rehearse this, do the flow, and then use the checklist to check whether you did it right. All right, aircraft equipment, we are IFR, airworthiness, yes. Oil, we're good. Wheel trucks were removed. Position, aircraft indeed. Parking brake sets. Passengers. I forgot the passengers. Are you guys boarded? I think so. Baggage on board. Covers, we remove those. Control wheel lock removed. We don't have that here animated, but we will in our own 172, right, that we're going to build after this IFR series. Life vest, we did. Fire extinguisher, ET, elevator. Yes. The magnetic compass, added that to my checklist, which I never did before. And we could have also already set the altimeter and the heading indicator. Yeah. So the magnetic compass is actually quite important for us as IFR pilots, because there could be a scenario where our heading indicator fails, right? Our vacuum-driven gyro might stop, and we are reliant on this. So, are there any bubbles in this thing? Is it leaking, or which is important, at least according to King's Calls it is. So this is not animated and explained, but we should check that, which is important, I think. And what we could also already do, not in my case because I'm suffering from a explained bug where I cannot change the heading indicator right now, which is a bit of a bummer, but will definitely be fixed in the future. We can already set the airport elevation, and this is again important because I need to make sure, be very sure, especially if we fly into the soup, that my altimeter is working, right? So what we can do is just look at the airport elevation, and plus 75 or minus 75 feet, we can set that. Okay, PSP. I already have those charts ready, by the way. Airport diagrams. Elevation 476. Well, that's not far off. 476, so I set it to 476. And so when we listen to ATIS and we look at the barometric pressure, these should be very, very similar. Again, there could be subtle airport elevation differences, obviously, at some ramp and another. So it's just a general indication. This we cannot set because of that bug, so I don't really care. Circuit breakers also, again, not animated here, but I need to look at that actually. Those are all in. And then we're done. Yes, and then we can look at the all of the internal systems. Good. So batteries on. Let's put all the lights on that we can put on, including the pitot heat. Let's go outside. Lights check, if I may. Oh, I'm already there. Beacon light, position light at the back looks good. Strobe position looks good. Taxi and landing lights are on, and on the other side as well. Wonderful. Finish. Thank you. But one thing that I didn't check, which is not part of this check actually, that I've requested at SimCoders but they declined kindly, is to, let me see, how do I get there? No, it's post-flight, I think. Yeah, and the pitot heat is working as well. Good. And now I just go away, and then I can put everything off except for the beacon. We can turn on our avionics. Transponder is off until 1200. That's good. I am interested in turning down the flash because we're going to expect those soon. Those are working. Not interested in the GPS just yet. Everything looks good. GPS mode, I don't care. And then shader messages look good. Can we set this? Set this all, and everything looks good. Fuel, I'm not really that happy with actually. Weight and balance. Done. Apply. That's better. You can see that the oil temperature is already a bit warm, which is interesting. Yeah, and that's about it. So avionics off and batteries off. Let's do the walk around. Walk around. There we go. It's still warm and it's not obstructed. And the stall and the leading edge and everything that we check. Why did it just skip the baggage door? Well, it's number 2, but okay. Previous. Am I doing this right? Pre-flight, thank you. That's the one. Yeah, this stuff we all check. There's the baggage door. It's closed and locked. Then we go to this side indeed, and we should look at all the connecting thingies there and see if they all work just fine. Also the rudders, free and moving, and the antennas intact. No tie down. ELT that it's secure. Flap should have a wiggle. We should actually look inside there. Ailerons free and moving. Nice. Tie down is removed. Leading edge. I still hear my ailerons going. Thank you. Tie down is removed. We can look and actually see whether there's actually fuel in the tank. The Cessna 172, I guess the 172, fuel gauges are actually notorious for indicating incorrect fuel quantities. So always dip there and see whether it's good. It's also good color. Tire looks good. Should open there. We can also look at tire movement there, or whatever you call that in English. It's looking good. Good color and good quantity there. Yeah, cover is removed. Prop, no dents, no birds. Filter is clean. Strut looks good. Tire looks good. Also, the fuel here not contaminated. Should also some fuel there. P2 cover is removed. Again, we check that thing as well. Stall warning. Everything looks intact. Leading edge. We feel around the leading edge. Ailerons also on this side look good, and all of the connecting hinges and rods look good. And finally, that tire, and there we go. Good. Walk around completed. Nice. That means that we are now ready to go. We filed our IFR flight plan. This is exciting, guys. My gosh. Okay. Seatbelts closed. Door closed. There we go. Now, look at the checklist. Obviously, I should have actually done this outside. Whether we not missed anything. Also, the internal checks here that I forgot. I forgot to check my checklist. Should be an item on my forehead or on my screen. Flight controls, yes. Transponder off. Not difficult. We did that. Exterior inspection, baggage door, elevator. We could also look at the antennas at the belly of the airplane. Not that you would really expect something to happen there, but in any case, the ADF antenna, the marker beacon stuff. Also on top of the airplane, there should be a GPS bubble there in the outside air temperature thing, and the communication radios or antennas. So yeah, that's something that I skipped unconsciously, undeliberately. Nose wheels, static ports. Also the static port I didn't actually see as part of the checks and SIM coders, I believe. It's interesting actually. But everything looks good. All right, passenger briefing. So again, seatbelts. Cabin doors locked. Yeah, passengers, sit comfortably. And are you guys ready to fly today? First IFR flight to John Wayne. Oh yeah, sterile cockpit. So one thing that I've also added to my checklist that you perhaps can already see here on the webcam, well, not quite, I guess, that I'm going to experiment with here on the stream is, obviously I'm here to train, right? And I'm sharing my training flights here through my streams, as always. Now, there's one particular limitation that some of you already pointed out several times through the years, and that is that, not necessarily by the way, but that streaming actually limits a bit or takes a bit away of your cognitive capacity flying, right? Because we're looking at the chat, I'm talking out loud now, I'm teaching also a bit. And now that I'm doing something that needs a bit more concentration, doing that actually limits my performance as my flying performance. So there are actually a few phases now of the flight where I'd like to have a sterile cockpit. That means that you guys can chat all you want, obviously, but I will focus on flying. So in terms of my takeoff, I'm going to be focused there. Then during cruise, I say hi again. And obviously during the arrival to landing, I like to be focused, briefing, and that stuff. I occasionally will glance at the chat, especially you have tips and stuff, but I think I need to incorporate this to get more out of my training flights, because several times now during the streams I'm making mistakes which honestly have nothing really to do with a lack of knowledge or skill, but just because I'm multitasking and I'm not really here, I'm not really present in my simming, and then I make mistakes, which is not necessary. Good. So that's part of the passenger briefing as well. Flight rehearsal. So again, we got our flight here in the ready. Here we go. Also look at our charts, by the way. We got our routing here. I'd like to be prepped. I don't care about that. Charts. So this is... Does my iPad still update, please? No, it doesn't. Thank you, Air Server. Stop mirroring. Good. Reconnect. Mirroring. Boom. Because you guys need to see for flight, I think. Yes, that looks good. Not quite, but hello. Come on, Air Server. Just changing iPad screens here, perhaps that might trigger it. I'm going to fix this, guys, because you really need to see the maps, I think, especially for this first flight. Air server. Close. It's closed. Let's also kill it here on my iPad. Screen mirroring, yes, off. All right, let's, yes. I want to have it another time, yeah. Running. Screen. Connect my iPad. Yes, I see check mark. I see air server popping up. Do we also see? Give it 2 minutes, guys. Sorry. One more time. Four flights. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Is there any other way that I can make this work? Because then I can show you my notes and the charts, and that's better. You can also just look at Sky Vector and look, follow me along. But as always, I like to just show you what I'm doing. Air server. Nope. Okay. Apparently the air server gods don't want us to be interested in that product. Ah! Perhaps that's the cue. If it does. Let me see. Can I... One last try, guys. Because I can also think... I think I can also... Can I see options here? No. I just want to see the options. Settings, right, let's do slow network, which is not really what we really want, but one last time, I promise. Yeah, is it closed? It is closed. Screen capture, yes, gone. Or capture, mirroring, air server, please. Or I will bash your product once more. And hopefully that triggers. Flight simulator. Connect. Yes. One, two, three. I don't think it works, guys. All right. Bummer. No flight for today. Yeah, goodbye, air server. So again, if you're interested in looking at the charts that I'm using, go to skyvector.com and you can look with me. Go to Palm Springs and KSNA, John Wayne. You can find all the charts there. But it's nice to just show you guys, especially when writing down my clearance. Okay, so that's the briefing. Charts, yeah, I'm just going to go through them. It's my briefing as well. I got the airport diagram of Palm Springs. I know where we are parked at the east ramp. Let me see. I want to go through those. Yeah, the Cathedral 1 departure that I'm going to use. So I've already briefed that before the flight, so I know what the procedures that I need to fly as part of the SID. I'm also going to load that in to my GPS here. Still, I don't know how to fly actually in that sense. I'm going to follow the GPS, or I'm just doing slant alpha kind of flying with the VORs. We have to figure that out. Also like the idea. I listened to Jason Miller, I think, also CFI on YouTube. Very nice guy, very knowledgeable about VFR and IFR flying, just as CFI. And he was also telling how you should actually learn IFR flying first with the autopilot and GPS, so you have all your attention to how the IFR system works, and you can focus on the procedures and the ATC stuff, and then afterwards you're going to fly on instruments without an autopilot. Which is actually, sounds to me actually like a better approach. I started with first learning how to fly, actually fly on instruments, and then do all the procedural stuff. In a way, yeah, you can swap that. Okay, so the Cathedral 1 departure, if we're gonna get it assigned, got that here as well. And what I have then are all the different approach charts for John Wayne. I got the ILS and localizer runway 20 right approach that I'm going to expect. But I also loaded in all of the other instrument approach because I don't know what kind of instrument approach we are assigned to. I guess a visual approach, or we're going to be vectored to the approach. So we're not going to fly the full instrument approach procedure, I guess. But I just like to be prepared. So in the case that he refers to either an RNAV approach or that LDA approach for 20 right or the ILS approach, I got it already here in my binder and I can quickly swap to it. So that's the idea. We're going to brief the approach once we are in cruise, but we're looking at an ILS approach, I think 20 right, so nice needling stuff that we're going to do. Which is going to be basic, and we got a DA decision height, decision altitude of 255 MSL, 255 feet, which is 200 feet AGL, so that's nice. We can go quite low here, and I look at all the other notes here, and they seem just fine. Nothing that we are really worried about. Okay, it's also a dated, it's also a current chart. Good. So those charts are also briefed. Anything else? En route arrival, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Expected taxi 3-1 right here on Palm Springs. So it's also very short taxi, I hope. And yeah, then we're done. Good. We can request our clearance, guys. Hey Stefan, good to see you. Actual Kevin, are you by chance using VBR? HTML encoding in OBS? Because if so, you might want to know that may be causing your audio sync to drift wildly off. Further and further immediately on some platforms, ultimately killing the stream. Maybe you don't care, which is okay, but thought you might like to know in case you would need a reason to use CPR instead. Didn't mean to distract you. Not a problem, actual Kevin. I think that my stream quality is okay, but if any one of you notices that the audio lags, please let me know. I think it worked just fine up to now, so also not quite sure what I'm using currently as a codec, but let me know. Give me feedback, then I can improve the stream as best as I can. Good, so the chart that I'm currently interested in is obviously the departure, so swap. Checklist, yeah, batteries on, avionics on, audio panel on. We're going to grab ATIS, reset our altimeter, check whether our altimeter is working, and then we're going to request our clearance without actually having started up our engine. So we're actually going to put, because I'm just going to wait before we get assigned our IFR routing, because we can already set it in, but if ATC is going to amend that route, I need to do that all over again. And also, but this is actually more of a real world case, I don't like to spend any gallons of fuel while sitting here on the ramp waiting for a clearance. So I'm just taking my time here first. Okay, batteries on, avionics on, there we go. Audio panel, verify on, it seems to be on. I'm now interested in the ATIS of Palm Springs, which is, hey, that's a subscription. Linux, thanks for the subscription, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks. That's supportive. That's exactly the support that I just need to get started with this flight. So 34 degrees Celsius, as you can already see. This is a hot day, and that explains why my oil temperature already, as you can look at my engine here, if you guys can see, it's already in the green, or close to the green arc. Audio panel, verify on, yeah, ATIS. And we're talking about ATIS 118.25. 118.25. What I'm going to set in my COM standby, I was thinking about these checklists, IFR checklist, is actually guard frequency. Which is a bit silly here on PilotEdge. Guard frequency is the emergency frequency in case you've got an emergency. And you're going to say, hey, I'm going down, mayday, mayday, right? It's also good practice, or courteous, also not really for PilotEdge, but in the real world, to monitor guard while you are flying on your COM2. So in case someone calls out for an emergency, you can actually help and let ATC know and and stuff. And also in our case, when we are pilots and we have an emergency, we already have guards set in. So we can just swap and immediately transmit on COM2 and say, help, rather than managing the airplane with an electrical fire and then thinking about guard frequency and needing to set that in. So these are just subtle things. I'm not sure whether I will actually do this for each and every flight, but again, just fun. It's nerdy, interesting stuff, I think. Set the ATIS, and now I can hit COM2.
Palm Springs INTL information Golf. 2100 Zulu weather. Wind 110 at 11. Visibility more than 10. Sky clear. Temperature 34. Dew point 7. Altimeter 2991. Arriving runways 13 right, 13 left.
That matches.
Departing runways 13 right, 13 left. Advise on initial contact.
You have golf.
You have golf.
Good, off. So we got ATIS, that's good. I can swap now to guard. And that means that we can reset. We can grab our clearance, IFR clearance. Okay. Airport clearance 128 points. Never. Oh no, that's not true. I've been on this frequency obviously before to grab my flight following as well. Don't get too enthusiastic here, Tim. 128.35, roger. And we can already set ground 121.9. Alright, 128.35, Palm Springs. Oh no, Tim. Oh, that's also, by the way, a bit disturbing. I'm resetting my COM2 rather than my COM1 because my screen for my GPS is not on, which is not a good sign. This screen is not here on my GPS for the first time without any reason. Is it working actually if I hit enter? Yes, so it does work. Yeah, I think I reset it. That's a bummer. There we go. Yes, thank you. Huge. Yeah, I will change this the stream, guys. Make it smaller. Move it away to my screen here. Yeah, that's better. Good. Yes. So again, ATIS. We already had that. 128.35. 128.35. There we go. Now in the active and ground 121.
Tower, Skyhawk, 6 Papa Romeo. Request frequency change to Torrance.
Yeah, 6 Papa Romeo.
Less loud. 128.9. Yes. Good. Now we're ready to go. We got golf, east ramp, and looking for our IFR to John Wayne. Guys, this is going to be interesting. Hey, finish! This is going to straight for real life. Thanks, Tim. On commercial flights, it's a requirement actually to monitor guard. Roger. Yeah. Again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
676 Papa Romeo.
Okay.
Actually, correction. Say again the call sign. I got the wrong call sign.
It was 676 Tango
First
X-ray.
IFR clearance, guys.
676 Tango X-ray. Then I
can earn a beer if I do this once in one run.
Right downwind, 16 right.
If I believe digital.
And Torrance Tower, Skyhawk, 326 Papa Romeo over Alondra Park, 2200. Like to transition your airspace to the southeast.
Or 636 Papa Romeo. Torrance Tower.
I'm very curious to see if we got an amended routing. Because the tech route sounds good, but I didn't see it in the top routes on PilotEdge. So that's... If we got an amended flight plan, I will obviously copy it, but I will ask the controller, like, how is this? We're following the right scheme, right? Looking at the tech routes, preferred routes through the FAA. This should be a good route. I'm expecting a S-filed clearance, but I guess we're not going to. Also, by the way, I can already... I'm using the craft template, right, to write down the clearance. And I can already put in some stuff that I know that we're going to get. For example, we're going to be cleared to John Wayne, most likely. John Wayne. KSNA. And the routing is most likely going to include that SID that we filed. Not always, but I'm going to include that already. This is actually the hardest part. Cathedral 1
John Wayne Ground 7172
departure
Romeo Bravo.
Palm
West
Springs.
side, west ramp.
Because some airports have
Request-
multiple
request
SIDs,
taxi.
and these are names, and if you're not familiar with those,
Charlie.
you're really writing a lot of stuff down and you're missing all of the later waypoints. And so it might be sometimes better to get a list of the existing departure procedures in front of you so you can quickly underline or set a note there and continue copying all of the clearances so you have a... You're much more likely to immediately have the entire clearance. But again, if you just forget something, just ask and they will repeat. Altitude, I don't really know just yet. Frequency also, well, we can look that up, but I don't really care. And transponder, yeah. Okay, guys. Hey, Finbar, good to see you. It's so hot here, especially with those stream lights on. It feels like 34 degrees Celsius, like here on Palm Springs. All right. Palm Springs clearance, good day. Skyhawk, Papa Hotel, Tango Mike is on the east ramp with Golf IFR to John Wayne.
PHA Palm Springs clearance, standby.
Standby.
Other aircraft again?
I stepped on someone. Again, this is hard with multiple frequencies overlapping and stuff.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm curious. This is cool.
Radar 3 Charlie Alpha.
So he needs to
6117
pop up my filed flight plan and see is this correct, and perhaps change something up, or. And if there's a lot of changes, he's going to say, "Are you ready to get your clearance briefings?" Which also give me an expectation, like I need to write stuff down.
PHJM, Palm Springs clearance, go ahead.
Yeah, we're located here at the east ramp with Golf, and I'd like to pick up our IFR to John Wayne, if that's okay. Which it should.
PHJM, Roger, clear to John Wayne Airport, Cathedral 1 departure, Palm Springs, Victor 388 to Aikens, Victor 283 Seal Beach direct, maintain 7,000, expect 10,000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 2653.
I'm not going to earn that beer. Could you repeat the altitude for me, please? For Hotel Mike.
PHTIM, maintain 7,000, expect 10,000, 10 minutes after departure.
Roger that. Clear to the John Wayne Airport, Cathedral 1 departure, Palm Springs, then Victor 383, then to Aikens, Victor 23 to Seal Beach, and then direct. Climb to 7,000, expect 10,000, 10 minutes. Departure frequency 126.7 and squawk 2653.
PHTIM, I was almost correct. The airways, Palm Springs, Victor 388, so that's 388.
Oh.
Aikens, Victor 283 Seal Beach.
Alright, if I heard you correctly, Victor 388, then Aikens, and then Victor 283, then to Seal Beach, and then direct?
That's correct.
Roger that. Pop that Mike. Okay, so this is exactly the route that I saw on...
Cherokee 6 up.
Let me just mute the comment. That I saw on PilotEdge, which is different from the tech route. So I'm following that scheme, and apparently there's some kind of broken chain there in my thinking. So I'm just going to ask. Let's see if he has the time. Thank you, Finish. That's half a beer. Thanks. Unmute. We are unmuted, right? Yeah. Palm Springs clearance, Sky Property Mike. Just a request? Or request? I'm just curious. I've been looking at the top routes at the PilotEdge, and I see that this route that you just filed me for is indeed the route that has been mostly used. But I've been looking at the tech routes as well and the preferred FAA routes, and that gives me another route that I filed just now. So I'm just wondering, what's the change? Why am I not filed the tech route here?
PHJM, first things first, your flight plan was blank. I didn't get anything that you did file. So that answers the first question. Let me double check the second question.
That's interesting. Perhaps the copy paste didn't work. You guys saw me pasting that in the flight plan, so that's weird.
PHTIM, the Palm Springs November 8 Alpha is the tech route that I gave you. Which tech route did you file? Or better yet, what's the difference in the routing? Yeah, read the different portion to me.
I filed the PSPN 18, and it went to the Victor 388, then Paradise, and then Victor 363, and then Puxcu, and then Victor 8 to Seal Beach.
That's Palm Springs November 18. Stand by.
And I don't spot that tech route in any top routes. So this is weird. Yeah, and it shouldn't be filed exactly digital. Don't know what's going on there then. I did hit file IFR, didn't I? And again, I love this about PilotEdge, right? You can ask the controllers just what's going on. I like to learn here now, in case they're not too busy. Also good that I kind of knew that other route, Akins. I already knew some of the Victor Airways, but I made a few mistakes there. But there was a lot of information there. Also a good habit is once you forget a particular chunk of that craft of the IFR, just skip it.
172 Romeo Bravo,
because you can ask for
20 right.
it again, right?
So it's 172 Romeo Bravo, John.
Exactly, Peter.
20 right at Kilo Cliff takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 2 Romeo Bravo.
I mean, I'm hoping you're referring to my tech route, not his. Right, the PSPN 18, that's the one that popped up at the FAA database. Also popped up at the my flight routes. Yeah, yes, yours. Exactly. Thanks, Peter.
Van Nuys Tower, Cherokee 676, Tango X-ray, clear 16
Now,
right on hotel.
I could already put
the signature west.
I'm also wasting my battery time, by the way. I'm just going to recharge my batteries
For
soon.
6 Tango X-ray taxi parking Alpha's passed so far.
Taxi to parking via
Recharge.
Alpha. You say it was a pass on what?
You're doing a Cat 10, correct or no?
Yes, doing the.
So I'm just waiting to
Cat
put that
10.
into my GPS, that
Okay,
route
yeah,
that he
the
just
pass
gave me,
so
because
far, you just
perhaps
did the first half.
something
You have the
went
second
wrong
half
also on
now,
his side.
and then
I
so far
doubt
you're
that.
passing. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay, I misunderstood this so far. Thank you.
No worries.
Meanwhile, we can try air server once more. Perhaps the gods are a little bit more kind. But I'd really like to hear the answer, actually. It takes a lot of time there, though. Hoping that's a good sign.
So that's another 3 Charlie Alpha guy. You're 3 Charlie Alpha. You want to do a practice approach?
I'd like to know the answer. While we're waiting. Troubleshooting.
3 Charlie Alpha.
Our server here, but it doesn't look good.
Oceanside, cross Oceanside 5,300, cleared RNAV, X-ray runway 24, practice approach, maintain VFR at all times.
No, it's not. Thank you, Finish. I appreciate that. Yeah, so this was actually the hardest kind of readback. It's a complete amendment of the, well, not a complete one, but a complete change of the flight plan.
PHM, I'm not even finding the Palm Springs November 18 in the FAA system there. All it is out of Palm Springs to John Wayne is the 8. You sure you don't have another, like a Fullerton route or something?
No, I'm actually quite sure. Also, people in the chat here have been looking at my flight route, and it also gives the same tech route, myflightroute.com, but also the FAA, also here on my 4 flight, so that's a bit weird. And again, also confused me.
Yep, we give you the November 8 Alpha route is what goes to John Wayne there. If you're saying it's in my flight route, that could possibly be out of date, but if you can find a resource to the FAA site that has that other route in there, let me know.
Well, I will. I will just fly the one that you just filed me for. But thanks again for your time. Papa tells you, Mike.
Yeah, you know, discrepancies do happen here and there. I just want to make sure we have the right one in there.
I guess they don't. Anyways, perfect practice. So
departure to Romeo Bravo.
We're draining our batteries. Next item is put in the flight plan. Let's do that, if I can. Boom. Yes, thank you. So, Palm Springs flight plan. Very good. So we need to put in the departure. Let's see how we can actually do that. Departure. Loading. Cathedral 1 looks good. I'm expecting runway 31 right. Let's put that in.
For 170 Romeo Bravo, SoCal departure. Radar
Thank you.
contact climb maintain 3000.
Palm Springs, MROT. Chances are, again, if you look at the Cathedral 1 departure plate, excuse me, we might get a shortcut. We don't need to fly the entire SID, like we also likely would not fly the entire instrument approach. But it's good just to load it in, and we can just hit direct or look at the plate and do it by hand. But anyways, this is good. So Palm Springs. So the next one would then be Victor 388. Now we're going to put that into the GPS like that. So I'm looking at my 4 flight here. At my map at the low IFR chart. You can look with me if you want. First waypoint that connects from Palm Springs Vortec to another is D-Way. So let's do that. Hello? Hello? D-Way. T. Let's go the other way around. D. We can also go the other way. Well, D-Way. Yes, Southwest USA. That sounds good. D-Way. Enter. What's D? Yeah, nautical miles. That sounds good. Next one. Again, Victor 38. The next one is Asens. Yeah, that was mentioned as well. Yeah, and then we got to change, I think. Yeah, so that's why he ends with Asens. Yeah. A. Come on, Tim. Asens. Yeah. Enter. There we go. Then the next one was Victor 283. Charts. Oh. 283. Do I understand that? 283. Yes, I do. 283. 283 to and then Seal Beach. Okay, interesting. So, such a bummer that I cannot show you guys the chart, because then you can look with me and have an idea. Asens, yeah, so 283, I can see the airway. And then obviously that one goes down to Homeland, I think, yes. Then Homeland, which is just ADF, I think. HDF. HD. F, Homeland, looks good. Boom. Then Victor 283 goes to the left, goes to KO. Yeah, this is the exact route that I saw at the top routes. I think they don't have that newer tech route. So with this first IFR flight, I managed to pick a routing That is not in PilotEdge's database. Oh. Man, I'm really digging this real sim gear device. Oh. Okay, yo, exactly, intersection. Good, southwest, good on the nautical miles there. Then
Bakersfield Tower, Archer 867 for
jog it.
uniform is 10 miles.
We're almost
to
there,
the
guys.
Southeast with uniform to land.
Jo. And that's
Archer 867 for uniform, Bakersfield Tower. Make sure to runway 30 right, port 3 mile final, and 300 at 10, altimeter 2993.
Jargets.
Make straight in 30 right, report 3 mile
and
final,
then Seal Beach. Seal Beach is the vortex that's very nearby, John Wayne. CL. Beach. Good. Enter. What are you referring to? I'm referring to... Hello, can I... Duplicate waypoints? Duplicate way. Yeah, I just want to pick the VOR. Why can I not go to the top? Oh, it's... Oh yeah, it's paired. VOR Southwest USA and it's NDB Columbia. Yeah, this one. Something like yes. Great. Yeah. Now we got the routing, and again this stops at Seal Beach, not at John Wayne, because we're expecting to get an instrument approach, and we're not. Chances are we're not even going to reach Seal Beach. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at. No, I'm not going to leave it. I'm actually going to put KSNA in here, and that helps to be quicker with the procedure step here on the GNS to load up and approach, because then the GPS already knows what we're going to, and you can already pre-select John Wayne. KSNA. Sorry guys, I'm so slow with this, but learning. There we go. Okay, done. All of the nautical mile things seem to be correct. We don't have an estimate time there because we're not flying or not moving. Now I would like to go on cursor away, clear, and now we have our route. Does that make sense? I think it does. We're flying to Palm Springs. Yes, but it's funny to see. If you look at the Cathedral 1 departure, there's actually a procedure when we take off where we should only start our turn towards Palm Springs once we reach a particular radial from Palm Springs. And I was curious to see what the GPS would make of that, and it doesn't make anything out of it. It just gives us a direct heading to Palm Springs, if I read the map correctly. So, yeah. Are you going to fly with RNAV guidance or raw nav data? I think both, Finish. I'm going to set the frequencies. Now, necessarily for the Cathedral 1 rating, I need to actually have my, or departure, I need to have my VOR there. So, interesting stuff. I'm learning so much. Okay, good. Again, I'm draining my battery. I'm curious to see how much actually. Oh, not too much. Degrees, right? So if you don't have to wait that long for your clearance, it will be fine. Okay, set that in. Then I'm interested in my vortex. 115.5 in the nav 1. Let me see. This is COM1, COM2, nav 1. Yeah. 110, 115.5. 115.
Torrance Tower, Skyhawk 326, Papa Romeo.
Okay,
over point
that's in the nav 1.
Information
Nav
Alpha
2
for touch and goes.
That's going to be Homeland, I think. Let me look at my low en route.
326 Papa Romeo Torrance Tower, stay position again.
2,500 over point firm.
Yes, that would be. No, that wouldn't. Oh, sure. Yeah. Tim. I should also update my ForeFlight.
Left base runway
yeah, so this is a bit of a hassle.
Right, 3 mile left base runway 29 right, port turning final.
Let me see.
3 mile left base, 29 right.
That route should be in my ForeFlight as well, obviously. Palm Springs again. Would be great if you can just make those changes here on your ForeFlight and upload your flight plan to the GPS. I believe that's actually possible in the real world. I don't know if X-Plane can actually do that. Palm Springs again, John Wayne. There we go, and I ask ForeFlight to give me preferred routes, and here I do see that one, but it's for turboprops. Let me see what this one is. What did he tell me? It was the PSPN November 8 Bravo, or it was something different? KO Jogged, that one looks good. Cathedral Wonder bands? No. Select routes. Let me see where we at. Ignore. I need to have my 4-flight in play as well. No, I'd like to have Palm Springs there.
Bakersfield
D-Way.
Archer 8674 uniform, 3-mile final, runway 30 right.
Archer 8674
I'm
uniform,
not
runway 30
really
right.
interested in. Oh, no.
Clear to land, 30
No.
right. 7 uniform.
Emerald PSP, en route exactly. D-Way, yes. And, oh yeah, then Asens. Yes, very good. Asens, and then we go to Homeland. Yes, and then KO. Yes, and then we get Joggett. Yes, and then we get Seal Beach, and then we get KSNA. Okay. Yeah. Also need to find out why my filed flight plan on IFR here here on PilotEdge did not come over to the other guys. Perhaps it had to do because I copy pasted it and I should actually type it over. It's a bit weird. Yeah, finish. I don't know why it's not working. I've got an app here that usually makes the thing work, but it hangs. It doesn't do what it likes to do, which is a bummer for today's flight. But apparently I tried it 3 times now and it just doesn't want to work with us. So we're going to do many more IFR flights, but it's a bit of a bummer here as part of our first IFR flight. Okay, got my flight over here again. En route is good. Clearance GPS input heading bug.
We'll make right close traffic.
We can already set if we like. Not that it's that important. Actually, 30 is fine. We need to reset our heading indicator with our compass. Actually, that's most important. Avionics off, batteries off. Yeah. Oh no! Shit, the Maril. I should have actually saved. Damn it. If I now load up my Garmin, if it's a proper device, it should have forgotten my routing here on Garmin. Damn it. What you do is you save the flight plan so that once you turn off your avionics before you do your engine start, you can then load up your flight plan again, obviously. Oh, it has forgotten. It should have forgotten it. Self-test flight plan. Yes, damn it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Should be much quicker, by the way, now. 3-1 right. Yes, I loaded in. Cursor. PSP. Back to PSP. Yes. And we have D-Way.
Scout, to remember Bravo flighting 080.
Now there's a chance that my battery would actually go off, so I should actually recharge. Yeah, Toby, but it's totally my mistake. It's silly. D-Way, right? D-Way. Other way around. D. Way. Intersection. Looks good. Next one. That's Asens, right? Asens. It's a good way to get familiar with your routing. Just to put it in several times. Asens. Yeah. Good. Intersection Southwest USA. Yes. Next one. And then we go down. Homeland. HDF. F, Homeland, South, yeah, good. And then we go to KO, yes, KO, K, yeah, K, well, yeah, KO, intersection, South, yeah, good. And then jog it, yeah. All the way around, jog. Not that it really is that much of a new information there. Jugget, there you go. Jugget intersection, good. And then from Jugget we go to Seal Beach. Roger. C L I. Good. VOR, yes. Accept. And then finally K S N. Hey, John Wayne. Thank you. Thank you. Now I hit menu. I say
Bakersfield
copy.
Tower,
Copy
Archer
to
basic
Pipeline
sub
1.
for uniforms
Yes.
clear, runway
I can
30
check
right
whether
on
that's
Echo,
actually
request
done.
taxi to transient parking.
Number 2 Romeo
Flight
Bravo,
plan- there it
flying
is.
170.
Now it is saved, and now if I quit my avionics, this should work.
Right,
This should
674
work.
uniform, taxi parking
If
by
not,
Alpha,
I'm going to
nice
cry. 1, 2, 3. Avionics off. Power off. Let's first double check. Beacon lights. Yeah. I'm now curious. It's going to be a long, long night.
Number 172 Romeo Bravo is 4 miles from Hookham. Fly heading 180. Maintain 3000 until established localizer. Cleared ILS runway 20 at approach.
Okay. I'm just curious to see if this works. It's not loaded, right? Flight plan. Next page. And there it is. And there we go. Nice. Good. Again, just to make sure, well, we charge. It's all fine. So, let's continue, guys. Batteries, indeed. Both. This is on. My parking brakes are set. Everything is closed. Just to get back into shape here. Yeah, and now we can just start up the engine. Roger. Batteries on. Mixture a bit in, or throttle a bit in. We can. Nope, not the avionics. Fuel pump on. 1, 2, 3, and cut off. Fuel pump off. Very good. No one is walking around, so clear prop. Mixture full in. Back to both. Oil pressure is already in the green. That's good. Alternator on. Rise on the ammeter. Lean for max RPM. There you go. Something like this. Avionics on again. Very good. Mode C.
Graphic J outcome.
And we should actually put in our transponder code, which is 2653. 2653.
172 Romeo Bravo, count at John Wayne Tower 12618.
Yeah. Flips up. And they go up. Very good. Then I'm going to go through the
Skyhawk 326 Papa Romeo, turning base
self-test
runway
again.
29 right.
Flight plan.
Runway 29 right, clear for the option.
Next page. Enter. Cursor. Enter.
29 right, clear for the option. Roll
Very
report
good.
midfield next time.
And we set
326
this,
Papa Romeo.
and then I can just unclick. No. Just clear.
Panama Tower.
I want to go to.
Set
No, I don't want to do this. Thanks for the
Alpha,
follow, Tony.
Mechanic,
Clear.
X.
I just want to go to my map. Why is not loaded? Flight plan.
So 93 Charlie up.
Yes.
Tower runway 24 Clear 12408.
Enter.
Cleared
Yes.
lane. 93 Charlie Alpha.
Or does enter doesn't enter mean I'm not looking at my flight plan, I guess. And if I now go, yeah, okay. So menu then. Activate flight plan. That sounds good. Activate it. Boom. And now if I hit this, yes, there we go. Finally. My gosh. Okay. Meanwhile, we all have all different kinds of ADAS information and different controllers. Anyways, our engine is warming up very, very good. We got our GPS there. Wonderful.
This is 172 Romeo Bravo.
Guard, I can already check that. Just want to be back in shape again. And in our standby, we can actually put the ADAS of KSNA. Charts. And that is 126.0. We're going to get there, guys. Either way, we're going to get to John Wayne. 26. Good. And back to the Cathedral 1. In terms of climb gradient, 405 nautical miles, or feet per nautical mile, to 2700. So that's, yeah, we really need to climb in that sense. With a 172, climb heading 310. And then once we cross the vortex, yes, I'm interested in that as well. Nav 1, 115.0, 115.5 it was. Switch in the Nav 1. I can listen to that, actually. I don't think you guys can hear, but I can. That's identified as Palm Springs. Good. We can already see it here on the CDI. And I'm interested in the radial, looking at the Cathedral 1 departure of climb heading 310 to cross vortex 268. We already practiced this departure a long time ago. 268. Good. Once we cross that, it's going to be direct to Palm Springs. We're going to go up and then 104 to Emerald. Yeah, it's going to be actually pretty basic, this departure. And 7,000 initially, 10,000 10 minutes after departure. Roger. And 126.7 we have, as Squawk is set. Good, finally. Then we can go to ground and finally start flying, guys. 121.0, 1119. Click into ground. So I'm going to set tower 119.7. 119.7. Good. Yes.
Van 9's clearance.
Ready to go.
676 Tango.
It's going to be
X-ray.
a very basic taxi here.
Going for south departure on the coastal route to
I need
John
more
Wayne
water.
with Echo. This is for the second leg of the cat.
Bring me more water.
For 676 Tango X-ray Van Nuys clearance. You're looking for flight
I have the
following,
proof
or
that
you
your
wanna go
tech
to
route is the good
taxi?
one with the effective dates and dark
I
left
will
directed from the
take some
different.
flight
Thank you,
following,
Stefan.
For 676
I
Tango
will let
X-ray departure
PilotEdge
frequency
know.
134.2 squawk 5675.
New controller.
Okay, departure is going to be on 134.2 squawk 5675 for Cherokee 676 Tango X-ray.
Tango X-ray back correct.
Palm Springs ground. Skyhawk Papa Delta Tango Mike is on the east ramp with Golf ready to taxi.
Sky Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi back Bravo.
3 more right via Bravo Papa Delta Mike. Good, as expected. Parking brakes released. Brake test works. No other traffic there. Other than this beautiful citation or whatever it is, Learjet. Turn around, slip indicator, turn indicator, everything's stable. Heading indicator now works. I didn't sync it actually after my engine starts. I also did not check my checklist. So let's see. We're now reading 310, which should be 310 because we're also aligned now with the runway. 310. Good. Everything else looks fine.
Van Nuys ground. Cherokee.
You could have actually already
676
taxied
Tango X-ray at
to the
signature
threshold line, the
west,
non-movement
ready for
area
taxi.
threshold line here without having requested any taxi clearance.
Cherokee
We can make
676
pirouettes
Tango
here
X-ray
if you
Van Nuys
like.
ground, runway 16 right, taxi via Alpha Charlie.
Yeah, Dad, I know, finally rolling.
16
But again, we're
right
learning.
Via Alpha Charlie for 676 Tango X-ray.
Look at this beautiful scene.
Skyhawk 326 Pop Romeo reporting midfield, runway 29 right.
Sky 326 up Romeo,
Okay.
runway 29 right, clear for the option.
29 right, cleared for the option. Can we make it a left crosswind departure on the way out? 6 Pop
We
Romeo.
had some winds coming
Six
from
Papa Romeo,
110 if I
request.
remember. So we actually have a bit of a tailwind. If I remember the ATIS, but I don't really care. Okay, so we are set here. Obviously our engine is already warm. So I am interested in the run-up and the power check. 1800. I want to share the messages. Everything is stable. Pressure is still there. Good. There's our left mag. Good. Back to both. Right mag. Good enough and comparable. Back to both. Vacuum is also in the green. Idle. Looks good. Oil pressure is still in the green. No annunciator messages. Perfect. Engine is working. Okay. Mode C. Everything is set. 1 notch of flaps. Trim. I could do a little bit more nose down. Fuel tanks are good. And Yeah, let's brief. So we're going to go up. We're currently at 500 feet MSL. So if we got an engine out before 1500 feet MSL, we need to crash land somewhere in front of the airport. I'm not hoping that that will happen after all this preparation, but you never know. And obviously we're going to depart at 310, the Cathedral 1 departure. So we're going to climb. We need to really get climbing, good steep climb. And once we see the CDI cross, we're going to go direct to Palm Springs and get up. Then cross Palm Springs, then Emerald. Yeah, you guys cannot see. It's such a bummer that I cannot bring up my iPad right now. Pull down the Cathedral on departure from skyvector.com at Palm Springs. And then we're going to turn around. We need to go up, and we're going to switch over to departure, which I should also set, which is 126.7. In my standby com 126.7. Yes, and once we check in with departure, I'm going to set my current altitude, but I'm also going to mention that we are going to 7,000 and that we on the Cathedral 1 departure, so that everyone knows what we're doing. Good. We got our GPS in the ready. I think that's it. Check whether we did it right. Turn the intercept, that's all we did during taxi. Run up position, that's all we did. We checked M-meter. Indeed. Before takeoff, seat belts, cabin doors, indeed trim, flaps we set. Crosswind, yes. Obstacles, no wake turbulence.
Viewing tower, Cessna 172, Romeo
Perfect.
Bravo has cleared the runway 20 right.
Because we're now IFR, I like to know my departure time.
Romeo Bravo tax blocked by Juliet,
which you can see is 22:23, at least here, 22:23. So
Bravo.
after departure, actually I should write this down after my takeoff clearance.
And Torrance Tower.
So in case we got lost communications, we know when we need to climb to our expected altitude.
Right crosswind departure off 29 right.
Anyways.
Number 6 Upper Romeo is
I
approved.
did this. Not so smart. 119.7. That's better. 119.7 and 126.7. Yes.
Parliament Tower and 3 Charlie Alpha clear.
This is so fun. There's so much going on.
Charlie Alpha tax blocked by Alpha. This frequency organized.
Alright, you too. Thank you. Via Alpha.
Palm Springs Tower, Skypop Hotel, Tango Mike is running short 31 right, ready for departure, IFR.
Skypop Hotel, Tango India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, got the runway 31 right, clear for takeoff, wind 0807.
Clear for takeoff, 31 right, Papa Hotel, Tango India Mike. Okay, here we go. Landing lights on, strobe lights on, mixture full in. Guys, first IFR flight. Alright, clear, clear. Here we go, I'm excited. Oh yeah, good one. I didn't note. 2255. I always forget. 2225. Okay, good. Full power. 310 corresponds with a heading indicator. Right rudder there. Airspeed is alive. Everything looks in the green. Full RPM. Good. Just track that center line, Tim. Bit of a gusty wind there, I'm noticing. There's 60. Yeah, I got a tailwind, as you can see in the windsock. There we go. Alright, so...
Hotel Tango India Mike, out of departure, have a nice day.
Over to departure, thanks, Bob. Switch. So, with departure, Skypop Hotel Tango Mike is at 700 feet for 7,000 Cathedral 1 departure.
HTIF, so got departure radar contact, climbing 10,000.
Climb to 10,000. Good. So we can continue our climb. It's a bit weird, actually, why this happens. Why they don't say just initially already with my clearance go to 10,000, but they need to check, I guess, with other traffic and stuff. Full power. Going up. Nicely trimmed. 310. Waiting for this needle. We're still on the Cathedral on departure. We might get a shortcut by clearance. Gonna crank up my audio volume just a tiny bit. go faster, Tim. Yeah, Toby, exactly. All about lost comms. Oh, don't go up too fast. Don't want to stall here during my takeoff. Also, I can already raise my flaps here, by the way. 300 feet. And I should stick with my 310. I'm already 10 degrees off. There we go. And again, that climb gradient is important. Sometimes you've got a SID, and even get assigned a SID that you cannot actually fly with your aircraft or your particular load. So it's always good to check. Alright, again, 115.5. Makes sense. Good. Come on, fly 310, Tim. Too hard? Shouldn't be too hard. 10,000 feet with a 172. Oh, Toby, obviously, he referred to my question about why we got that expected altitude. Yeah, I know that that's because of lost comms, but because it's so quick now, that change from 7,000 to 10,000 was so quick that I thought, well, is that really about, practically speaking, about lost comms? Sometimes it takes a bit longer before you get assigned that. The needle is coming in. And again, also, I should be sterile, right? This is sterile cockpit time. Focus, Tim. Also, again, not 310. Past 3,000. I'm starting to lean my mixture a bit. Then lights can be turned off. Indeed, the line is wrong. At least the SID part. Here's the line. So now I'm interested in flying direct to Palm Springs. I'm actually going to do that by hand. So it's gonna be somewhere around this direction, I guess, easterly. Keep that climb going. Okay, what's our heading here? It should be around east. Yep, let's pick this one. Get that climb going. Make that turn. Speed looks good, engine looks good. Push up that EGT. Watch that speed. Turn. Very good. Could also change my flight plan, I guess, on the GPS here, so that we already direct to. Oh, come on. And again, these are subtle things that I'm not really familiar with, like how to use the GPS alongside my radial. This is still en route stuff, actually still also departure stuff that I need to practice a bit more. Alright, once we hit Palm Springs, we need to fly 104, 10 nautical miles to Emrod. I don't know whether we are actually going to... I'm hoping we get a direct to D-Way soon. We'll have to see. Good climb. Everything still looks good. man. Ah, yes, Toby. Good one. Yeah, standard rate turns. I forgot about that. Thanks. You can request direct. Yeah. Old guy, what did old guy say? I've always got clear to filed until when I contact departure or sooner or later. Roger that, old fly guy. Roger.
American 2671, limber clearance clear to
At Palm
Phoenix
Springs.
Airport.
Oh, Stefan, roger.
Departure, Imperial transition as followed. Climb via SID, squawk 7275.
Now we're already very, very nearby Palm Springs Vortac, so the needle gets more sensitive. So let's just do some final tweaking here. 5,000 feet already.
Okay, 2671, read back.
Yeah, there goes the needle. We should also be able to see it, don't we? Yeah, we're getting closer. Well, perhaps we are a bit off. Still far away there, or relatively far away. So again, being precise with your radial flying is important, and your headings can be so much more precise. It should do better. But again, first try, but still hear radio chatter. Almost our 10 minutes are up. It doesn't really matter, but just for the sake of noting time. If we had lost comms, okay. Needle is back to center again. Just double check that my heading indicator is in sync. Yeah, it is.
PHTIM, navigation suffix.
Eversland Golf of Bravo Delta Mike.
PHTIM, roger. Turn left, direct D-way, resume on navigation.
A left direct to D-way and resume ONAV. Thanks, Bravo Delta Mike. Alright. As expected, Stefan. Good, thanks.
16 X-ray contact departure.
So rather than flying the entire procedure to MROD and back, we can just go on course. Now, yes. So I'm turning to D-way. I have no idea what D-way is, but my GPS knows. So flight plan, cursor. Again, this is all about just for trimming. Trimming.
You look for close roof.
MROT, I don't care. En route, D-way, direct, direct.
Contact, SoCal approach, 134.9.
Thank you. Okay, and what I can do is now switch my GPS there, I guess. How does that work, actually?
6 Papa Romeo, taxi, parking via Sierra, have a good day.
Should know. I'm crossing the line right now. Okay, yeah, this is where I need to actually look at that other screen that Keith is using. I should do that as well, because now I'm looking at this needle, which is now not responsive to my OBS. It's all GPS reference now, so I changed to GPS mode. And now the needle indicates how far away I am from my desired track. I looked at my GPS, which is nice.
Check 6716 X-ray,
also
SoCal
could
approach.
lean my engine just a bit more.
Unfortunately, you already entered the Bravo airspace without a clearance.
So what I can do
for Bravo
is
airspace, you must have
go
a
to
verbal
another
clearance
screen,
to
this
enter Bravo
screen.
airspace. What are your intentions?
So I need to go 0.08 nautical miles to the left. My desired track is 272.
No, you can start at Van Nuys, it's no problem.
And my current track is 271. Yeah, I need to figure out mentally. It's not that difficult, but I'm still a bit confused about this. Okay, we're still nice on the climb. So, again, we're very close on the needle, on our track, on our desired track. But if we would like to go to D-way right now, I need to fly 272. But I'm not flying 272, but a bit less, because I want to decrease that cross-track error, that XT TK. So now that I'm almost there, if I understand it correctly, I can now turn back to 272. And my cross-track error should actually kind of remain the same. Now what's interesting is that my heading indicator obviously is not corresponding with my GPS heading, but I think those can be off a bit. I'm not sure, guys, do you know? So should I think I should always reset my heading indicator based on my magnetic compass, which is pretty dang on. Yeah, I think I should not. Just keep the GPS as it is. Still, we're nicely trimmed going up, leaning and leaning and leaning for our Cessna 172. We're really high up. Let's enjoy this wonderful view, by the way, here. Look at that. There's Palm Springs, where we fiddled around with clearances and we were actually smarter than the controllers. Ha! With our new tech route. But man, we took so much time there.
2671.
But look at the view.
27 taxi via Bravo.
First IFR flight. This is fun, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks, Toby. Thank you for the tips and stuff. Pixie, Roger that, Stefan.
Solid ground.
Yeah, flip-flop, I know. And it's always based on my comments. Ignore the GPS saying that you better look at the ground track and shows that Roger, Toto. Thanks. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate that.
Tango uniform, runway 29 taxi via Alpha.
Alright, again, I'm comfortable looking at the chat, but I'm still climbing. So, what am I doing? Heading indicator, throttle, lead RPM max, energy gauges look good. I checked that. Brakes, tab, I already forgot. Once we just took off, not a big thing, but just to tap the brakes to prevent them from rolling. Mixture set flaps, retracted pitot heat, we don't need that on, no moist, and we're not in the freezing levels. And clock reset for navs. Yeah, that's interesting. Also the nav log, note progress. Yeah, so that's also something that I'm missing and I'm working on right now. Actually, a fancy Excel sheet that gives me a more automated way of doing my nav log. Also, ForeFlight provides us a nav log. But I'd like to be more. I mean, I think one of the primary reasons why I forget to use the clock is that usually it's a bit arbitrary, like I use it with my VFR flights. I should actually prepare my times and know what to expect in times, because then it's valuable, meaningful to check whether the time corresponds. And I don't. So I'm thinking that if I make myself a nav log for each flight, an Excel sheet that I can also bring up on the stream, then I can evaluate my progress and the thing becomes a bit more meaningful. So, for example, now, yeah, I can use my times, but I have a GPS here. I mean, if we look at the GPS, we'll be at D-Way in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, which is great, my GPS. But I also like to be more slant alpha and use the clock as well. Exactly, Stefan. Yes. Look at the D-Way. Yeah, so the en-route goes on. Then ascends. Yeah, and again, flying with a 172, it's so slow. Imagine flying this with a jet, right? High-speed jet. Especially more difficult, complex departures or arrivals or instrument approaches. You need to be much more quick, especially if you're slant alpha, which is never the case, or probably never the case. So with the 172 you have so much time to think relatively, and still I'm feeling busy, which is, I know, totally silly. Again, small steps for you guys, but I think a giant leap for me just to do my first IFR flight. It's really, really fun. I learned a bunch already. Bummer though that the ForeFlight is not working, or that my iPad cannot
I'm traffic, 12 o'clock, 3 miles opposite direction, on GK 7500, type in on.
I'm looking for that traffic, thanks, Bob Dotimic. 12,000. 12,000 opposite direction. Don't see him or her. What I'm also going to do in future IFR flights is also less rely on my GPS. So now I'm in the GPS mode, which makes life very easy. but I actually also like to fiddle around with VOR needles and radials and do that on my own.
676 Tango X-ray Van Nuys, clearance departure frequency
Which I will.
134.2, squawk 7174.
Okay, D-way, and again I can, how can I, yes, good. Yeah, so I can quickly now flight
Cherokee
plan,
6 Tango X-ray
clear
back,
and back, yeah. Ah, really finish. Even just in wing layer helps a ton. Yeah, Toto, I can imagine.
2671 Limerick Tower, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Look at the scenery, guys. It's so pretty. Wow. All right. Almost getting at our cruising altitude of 10,000. Never flew in 10,000 before. Which is not really something that I
132 Tango Uniform San Luis
celebrate.
Tower, say intentions.
Alright, we're 6 nautical miles, or 0.06 nautical miles from
3
our
Tango Uniform, roger, runway 29, clear for takeoff, left downwind departure.
desired track. And as you can see on the needle, it's not that precise, obviously. And I guess that's also why Keith loved this visual of the GPS with the cross-track error. Gives you a much better sense of how far you're actually off from the from your track, from your desired track.
We're 676 Tango X-ray Van Nuys ground, only 16 right taxi via Alpha Charlie.
"19 seconds to go. Just pushing on the yoke here so to get a stable speed going, and then we're going to trim, pursue some power setting changes. Then we're going to do our cruise checks. Another cruise check. And brief already the arrival. We have plenty of time, but need to go full speed here. All right, it's already going to Asens. So I need to fly 256, so I need to fly less. To grab the needle. Trimming a bit, good. We're going 110, 109 ground speed. Should go a bit faster. So we file our
PHTIM contact SoCal approach 135.4.
SoCal approach 135.4. Prototype.
Record 2671 contact departure.
5.4. SoCal departure. SoCal approach. Sky Copy Delta Mike is level 10,000.
Record 2671 SoCal departure. Radar contact. PHTIM, SoCal approach, direct to Homeland. After Homeland, fly heading 210 vector John Wayne Airport. The Ontario altimeter 3000.
Direct to Homeland, after Homeland 210, and then vectors to John Wayne Airport. Okay, nice. So 2990. It's a first, good. Direct to Homeland, nice. So that means flight plan, click, Homeland, again, direct, enter, activate, yes, boom. We need to go, we're actually cross-track, yes, indeed. So we need to fly less than, well, 229, that's what we need to fly. Okay, stay on altitudes. It's already past it, by the way. Come on. I'm looking too much at the GPS. I can also look at my needle here. good. Direct homeland. Okay. Poor ones is really struggling up at 10. Yeah, Toto. Exactly. Betting inside, left valley, great field as well. Absolutely. Flying us up on journey gives you a nice tailwind. Yes, I did like. Well, we have 4 knots headwind, I think. But we can see on the map as well. Let me first. You can see I'm already off track there. 229, Tim, at least according to the GPS. Also use the rudders here instead of the ailerons to do that. Anyways, we're doing fine. Perhaps we can even lean a bit more, looking at the EGT. Be more efficient with our fuel. Even a bit more. Even a bit more. Fuel's still good. Engine is still good. We're going direct. Again, don't get comfortable, Tim. Airspeed. Yeah, so ground speed, this is not true airspeed, right? And I should actually work on that as well. Yeah, so we're currently at 10. Temperature 5, so it doesn't really make a difference. So we're now flying, we're not flying 115. We're going much slower. And I filed for 115 knots. True airspeed. So if we are flying around, well, what's most actually 10% off or 10 knots off of our filed cruise speed, then we need to inform ATC actually. But I'm not going to bother too much about that today, but it means that I need to file at lesser speed rather than 115, but around, yeah, it's 10, right? Yeah, so 110-ish. Yeah. Okay. Still on track. Cruise, make sure we set radios. Yeah, so I don't need the vortex of Palm Springs anymore. So I should have already signed over to... Well, that's not really true, to be honest. No, we're now direct to Homeland, yes. So that is 113.4. 11... No. 11... Oh, yeah. How do I do this? Yes, 113.4. 113.4. Yes. Switch. Yeah. It doesn't do anything because we're obviously... Yeah, so I could actually better set that on my nav 2. Does my GPS also automatically put in the ILS localizer once I load up the approach? Would it already automatically load up the ILS frequency?
Second call sign.
I think it would. But let's use the nav2 there. This should actually be nav2. Yeah, this makes sense. So I'm drifting off. Should fly a bit more than 229. Exactly.
Aircraft call us again.
Still 8 minutes. Good. Come on. 113.4. So again, I'm behind the ball. I'm not thinking ahead. I'm not working ahead. I'm still in amazement that I'm flying IFR and I'm not actually doing anything right now other than just flying a GPS. This is not good. Homeland. Yes. And then Seal Beach. I'd like to have that in my nav 2 as well. Chances are we're not going to fly to Seal Beach eventually, but
Drake 676 Tango Extra
Seal
Vienna
Beach,
Tower.
please, 115.7.
Somebody just departed the runway there without a clearance. I have no idea who it is. I'm not talking to him. Do you see him?
That doesn't sound good on the radio. Okay, we said that. We already have Homeland here.
6 Tango X-ray, thank you. He looks like he's making it straight out.
Makes sense, right? Should be quite the same.
Clip takeoff.
But this is from, so it should be the other way around. Oh. And I'm drifting off slowly. Because I can. Come on. Yeah, this is all has so much to do with scanning as well. I'm doing one thing at the time. I'm responsive, I'm reactive rather than proactive. So there's a lot to say about this, my workflow here. But again, so what am I doing? I've set nav. I set my nav 2, homeland. Not a lot of important stuff going on there. That's good. I want to have my localizer as well, of my ILS for the next approach plate. I'm expecting the ILS to 0, right?
Or 9271 Juliet.
1-1.
Canyon Tower.
1.
Correction, Canyon Ground. You ready to task?
Click. Yes. 1-1-1. See, I'm not finishing tasks, so I'm now already looking at frequencies while my task was to actually fly the needle, and that's when I'm always getting behind. 229-ish, that's fine.
American 2671
Yes.
contact Los Angeles Center 133.55.
111.75.
PHTIM after Homeland instead of maintain 8,000.
After Homeland, 8,000 Bob Delta. Yeah, okay.
And PHTIM amend the heading after Homeland 220.
220 after Homeland. Bob Delta. Okay. Okay, still 5 minutes on the clock. Okay. 111. 111.75.
2671 Los Angeles Center climbing tape level 290.
It doesn't do anything now when I switch it to the nav 1 because we are in GPS mode, but I like it to have it there. And I can also already set this to my landing, just for reference, to 0-ish, actually 196. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, also the heading bug we can set, but this is actually not the stuff that I should be worried about. Why am I going this direction? Yes, I like to brief, I want to have the ADAS for John Wayne. Okay, this is so fun. I'm going to rewatch this video. It's just, I'm all over the place. There's not a schematic. Even though I put it on my checklist, I'm just there. ADAS, I'm on guard. Not really monitoring guard, by the way. I set my frequency, but I've not pushed in COM2. Interesting. What's the ADAS of, that's 126.0, that I already set. Swap, COM2.
Orange County, John Wayne Information Hotel. 2200 Zulu weather. Wind calm, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 2,200 few, 25,000 few.
Nice.
Temperature 23, dew point 14. Altimeter 2999. Arriving runways 20 right, 20 left. Departing runways 20 right, 20 left.
Yeah.
Advise on initial
Hotel.
contact. You have hotel.
Good. Swap back to guard and keep COM2 on. Yes. Homeland in 3 minutes. We already got our vectored heading and our altitude. I also noted down the altimeter setting because we're going to set that once we are cleared for the approach. So we got the altimeters lined up. That's the. Now we're flying on the area altimeter setting of the approach controller. So we're all flying on the same altitude in the same sector. But as soon as we're cleared for the approach, then we need to go local, terminal, and then we need to reset our altimeter because otherwise the glide slope and all of those minimum decision altitude in this case would be off. Okay, can still go a bit to the right there. Watch this, Tim. Yeah, I will, but not now. Finish. Thank you for sharing. Perhaps post it in the Discord so I can have a look afterwards. And tower income 2. Oh yeah, tower. Good one, Stefan. So next up, I'm not sure whether we are already ready to 6 points. 126 point. On what frequency? Is it 126.7? I think we should be on 135.4. This is interesting. If I look at my scratch pad here, I see 135.4 and not 126 point. I think that was from the latest. I swapped This is so interesting. Yes. Should be 135.4. That's interesting. Did you guys spot that or not? I think I swapped the comm frequencies while I was doing stuff. And I'm also way off track. 1 minute on the clock. There's so much to learn. And smooth and optimize in terms of your mental schemas, like how you're gonna... Yeah, so we got the ATIS.
Airliner 271 Juliet, Canyon Tower, runway 21 clear for takeoff. The wind 190.16, gust 24.
200 feet too high still, but going to descend at any moment now.
16 X-ray contact departure, sorry about that.
Yeah, finish. Exactly.
Cherokee 676 Tango X-ray SoCal approach, radar contact SoCal approach 134.9.
Come on, push in. Fly altitude stim. I've not done this for such a long time. Come on, focus. Scan. There's no rhythm. I can feel there's no rhythm. I'm just responding to cues. I'm Pavloving. Yeah, turn right, blah 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 blah, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to fly 220.
SoCal approach, clear to rubber airspace, coastal route southbound, maintain VFR 5500, LA altimeter 3001.
And we're going to go down. You can do two things at the same time. You might not think you can, but you have to. So there goes the speed. Perhaps lean my mixture just a tiny bit. 220. So now I'm going off of my yeah, my plan here. 220. Interesting. So I guess he now is going to vector us into John Wayne at an angle on that final approach fix so we can join the localizer. That also means that my nav now should not be on the nav mode. It doesn't make sense at all, I guess. So I'm going to set it to my ILS already, frequency. I don't know if that's smart. 220. Still we're synced. Compass and heading indicator. This is so cool. I'm really enjoying myself, guys, even though I'm making a mess out of my procedures. I feel where the forest somewhere is, where I need to work on, what I need to work on. Wonderful scene, by the way, here. Scenery outside. Look at that. French Valley there in the far distance. Really, really cool. So again, nicely trimmed. Going to go down, and while we are going down, you need to watch my AGT. It's not only that you need to lean once you go up, but also you need to enrich in your mixture obviously when you go down, because otherwise you choke the engine. So steadily we need to lean our mixture. I've now leaned it a bit too much, as you can see, and I'm also flying a bit too much to the right. We'll see that looking at our GPS, we got a tailwind of 9 knots, which is generous. We can also zoom out a bit. Still have some way to go. What's your current ATC instruction? Flying 220 and 8,000.
LA Center, Alaska 1904, flight 330.
Alaska 1904, Los Angeles Center cross Beatty at maintain flight level 240.
Beatty at maintain flight level 240, 1904.
Also, you can... No, sterile. I'm about to hit 8,000. First, finish your tasks, Tim. It's funny how many ways there are to distract yourself. 8,000. Good. We increase our power. And that should resolve itself quite nicely. I think we might trim just a bit differently. 220, Tim. Not 225. 8,000. And don't crash. Explain if you dare to crash. I'm gonna crash you. I'm gonna trash you. Use the Henning bug. Yeah, that's true. There we go. Don't know why I didn't remember that I have actually an assigned bung on my yoke for this, but... Alright, again, I got the ATIS. Bit more power here. And again, I'm briefing the ILS 20 right approach into John Wayne. I'm not sure whether we're actually going to get that. We'll have to see. Wow. It is pretty out here. 220, Tim. 220. Still looking at my approach plate, I'm expecting to get a frequency change.
Van Nuys ground, November 172.
To 121.3, as indicated on the approach plate here.
What's up to Sierra Lima, Van Nuys ground?
172 Sierra Lima requests taxi active with Juliet remaining in the pattern.
Where you park?
0 to left on the RNAV.
172 Sierra Lima, runway 16 right taxi via Alpha Charlie.
Alpha Charlie to 16 right, 20 Lima.
Could be. He's flying us around, just to be sure. Zero to left. GPS. Could be. We'll have to see, guys. Yeah, I could. I can do that. Circle approach, Sky Copy Delta Tango Mike. Do you already have a approach in mind for us?
PHM, advise when you have the weather and approach request.
We already have a hotel, and we'd like to fly the 20 right ILS approach, if that's okay.
PHM, expect that.
Roger, Pop Delta Mike. Okay. Because I already briefed it, I thought that might then make sense. But thanks, guys. So again, what you are suggesting, and also what I'm seeing is that I'm flying too high, is that you can be proactive. Think ahead. And if you're not sure, just ask. The controllers are not just policemen. They are there to help you. So if you have a question, just ask. Good. Good tip. Exactly, Sharky. Next survey, I just launched myself after 2. Looks like you're getting along pretty good here. Oh, no problem, Linux. Well, yes, but there's a lot to debrief, actually. Go down.
PHJM, contact SoCal approach 128.1.
128.1, pop the link. 128.1, again, not the frequency that I would expect. 128.1. I'm still at 8,200. And circle approach, Sky Cocktail Tango max level 8000.
Hotel Tango India Mike, SoCal approach, downwind altimeter 2999er, and expect ILS runway 20 right approach.
Altimeter 2999er, and we'll expect the 20 right approach. Good, so that means that we can brief. 299er, we already read that in the, or heard about that in the ATIS. Already got that noted. Hotel. Information hotel. Again, trimming. So now we know what approach we're going to get. I can also load it up in the GPS. So flight plan. No, procedures. Select approach. Could I just, or should I put my cursor at the last waypoint? Don't know how the GPS actually works, whether it will insert it. Let's just do it like this. Approach, yes, exactly, ILS 20 right. Vectors, no. I should be on course here, Tim. So what happens is I'm focusing here, there is obviously wind and stuff, I should just do this. Vectors, Sager might be make sense, or Seal Beach. That's the full approach. No, I'm not interested in that. Let's do Sager. If we check vectors, then we lose all of those first waypoints that are also part. When we choose vectors, we're going to get displayed the approach from the runway to the final approach fix, I guess. And when we do Sager or Seal Beach in this case, we get more of the approach actually on our plate here on our GPS. So that's what I'd like to see, because I don't know what the controller is going to do. So Sager, and I want to load it, not activate it just yet. It's from monitoring only. Load
HTIM flight 270 vector ILS approach.
I think 270 for the ILS approach. Well, that's right. Okay. Get up, there are the clouds. We do have some clouds. That's cool. Get up. Now this has nothing to do with me not being able to fly altitudes, as though it seems, but it's just concentration, it's attention, it's dividing your attention, it is regulating your attention. I don't want to just drill and practice or just by trial and error learn this. I need to have a way to exercise this somehow. It has to do with scans, it has to do with scaffolding the process somehow. 270. Okay. For the misoperator's good habits. Stefan. Exactly. Charts. Where is my approach? 20 right. Should have already prepared that, by the way. 28. I'm still off of my 270.
2671 is to maintain flight level 250.
Yes, it's just going to be the same localizer. I'm going to go up. I'm going to follow runway heading 3000 and then going to do Minu. And I need to use the LAX VOR there, which is 113.6. It's amazing how much information they actually put in to those approach places.
Alright, 2671, contact Albuquerque Center, 128.45, see ya.
6. Good. And that's the radial 123. Come on, 270. Yeah, so I can, yeah. The localizer 111.75. Yes. Again, minimums for the ILS 20 right 255. Okay. He just told me to expect the 20. That doesn't mean that I already need to descend on my own accord, right? He's gonna tell me. I'm expecting that he's gonna give me some final. Well, we're already for the vectors on the final in a way, aren't we? 1.75 navs.
Air 9271 Juliet, Los Angeles Center Squawk 5752 ident.
KO. There's the approach. Sager, I can remove this one. Remove waypoint. Yes. There's the approach. There. KO. Yes. 270, Tim. Again, hand flying is also, yeah, doing this stuff with so much multitasking. Yeah, I need to get a habit in of looking. Which is also a bit more difficult with a actual home cockpit where you have the GPS there, because now if you have it on the screen, you're already looking at the screen. It's easier to scan. Thanks, Stefan. Expect means just that. Roger, 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 roger. Just trying to gain on my remove that cross track thingy. 2-7. I wonder what he's going to do actually. I'm quite south of the airport in terms of doing the approach, so he needs to send me up north, I guess.
Bravo 07, Bravo 0, stand by. Calling on our tower, go ahead. I want to Tango uniform.
Put my landing lights on.
Right downwind, runway 25, report midfield. Alaska 1904.
We were flying right towards John Wayne.
Contact Los Angeles Center 134.65.
13465 and descend. Descend for right.
At PHTIM, flight heading 310. Correction, flight heading 290. And that'll be vectored to the localizer. And I just found out the route you're talking about, I believe it changed May 24th, and I think ours is out of date.
Ah, roger that. That makes sense. 290 for both of you. Ha! We improved the PilotEdge system, guys.
What was the LA center frequency you gave us?
3465.
So we were right with our routing.
3465.
Ha!
16 X-ray lead proper airspace contacts.
That's
SoCal approach 128.
good to know. Not just because we're right, but also then that scheme of preparing your flight plan is valid.
Into Alaska 1904, descending through at 230 with the
Alaska 1904.
Roger.
Las Vegas, Oxford 29996.
29996.
SoCal approach, Cherokee 676, Tango X-ray, level 5,500.
Cherokee 676, Tango X-ray, SoCal approach, cancel out to restriction, resume on navigation. Proceed to Mile Square Park, John Wayne altimeter 29er.
Okay, resume altitude at my discretion, maintaining VFR, 6 Tango X-ray.
200 feet to low, come on.
Alright, 1141, gentlemen, claims clear Phoenix Airport, Pigeon 2 departure.
Come on, X-Man, you can do this.
Climb via State extent, maintain 7,000. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 3414.
No, don't go down. You're not trimmed. Again, there should be a flow like fly the airplane first, trim it. Is it stable? Yes. Then do something else, scan. Do something else, scan.
American 1141, read back correct. And
okay.
If you have the receiver on, or if you have a second radio on, you'll want to turn that off so you can avoid having that feedback. Yep.
Why are we still at 8,000? Because we're overflying airspace, but that airspace is much lower than we are, so I think we can even cross it at 6, perhaps? Or are we really going to be vectored towards Seal Beach? And then turn around or something? And anyways, we're vectored. Well, also I should not kid myself with the zoom out. If you look at this zoom, we're actually still north of the airport now. But it would be very weird if we now would clear us for the approach while we are at 8,000 feet. He didn't told us. He didn't tell us to go down, right? I mean that the final approach fixed. That's lemon here. We should be not lower than 2,200. We should be at around 2,200. So he's still going to vector us all around, I guess. Yeah, finish. True. Ah, we got a localizer reading there. That's good.
PHJMs to maintain 4,000.
4,000 Papa Zima. That sounds good. Also, should just remember RPMs for
1904 contact Las Vegas approach 125.9
for steady descents, so you can very quickly hit the number and then use your attention again for something else. Yeah, but how do I practice it? Just by doing, I guess. Just flying over and over and over. But you need to, you like to grind in already a good flow of doing this at the start.
Vegas approach.
And I'm not sure how to do that,
14,000,
and I should also keep descending.
1904 Las Vegas approach. Expect a bridge approach runway 26 left, altimeter 2996.
2996 and correct visual approach 26 left, Alaska 190.
16 X-ray, do you know where miles per park is?
Cross the localizer.
16 X-ray that you should ask. Please proceed to Pillsbury Park. You didn't ask. You didn't know where it is. You didn't ask. So now you're just flying.
That mic, he always. How do I tell which version of the SIM card is rep for the 170 I'm currently using? Via settings, I believe.
Approach Cherokee 676 Tango.
The plugins menu, and then SIM coders, and there's about or something like that.
Unstable.
16 X-ray, understood. How we going?
I did not expect that we needed to go to the northwest side of John Wayne. And then
about Tango Landing Mike traffic. Just left you 12 o'clock, 4 miles northbound on 2K 6100 climbing 10 minutes.
Looking for that traffic. Thanks, Papa Zima. 6,000, that's lower than us. Don't spot it. Again, back to my scan. 29er, still descending. Good. Everything loaded up. ATIS. Yeah, what we can do perhaps, because we're in the sector, is already prep our tower frequency 126.8. 126.8. Man, I'm gonna rewatch this video so many times. To learn, guys, to learn. This is so cool.
HTIM flighting 020.
020 Hotel taking back. Again, set the heading, the old guy said. Heading bug, I mean. 020. Okay, so now we are flying parallel with our runway. It's kind of like we're flying a traffic pattern. Alright. Again, double check our indicator. Also, we're going down, so enriching my mixture here just a tiny bit. Although that doesn't really help. 020. Strong wind should be at our right side somewhere. Oh no, back shoulder, as you can look on the GPS. 020, good. Okay, still, everything is set. 4,000 it was. I did not write that down. And I should. Because I'm a hero in confusing myself. And it's not that that the instruction is difficult, but because there's so much going on and I don't again have a rhythm, or you mess up things. So I talked about this with Mrs. Uncertified as well, and she said, well, perhaps you should not even try to do this all by yourself, but just totally admit that you are incapable of doing this, like pretty much any pilot, and so you need to use aids, memory aids, sketches and other stuff, so you reduce the risk of making mistakes. So if you still think that you should do this all by yourself, by my mind, you are going to make mistakes and you're going to fail. Which was a good frame of thinking about it. So how can you support yourself in not making mistakes rather than punishing yourself like I need to pay more attention, because there is so much information. I mean, I guess with much more experience you probably can, but again, the psychological dimension of flying is so interesting. How do you optimize your cockpit management, but just your flight performance as a pilot, your pilot performance? Very interesting stuff, and it, as you can see, it also applies to flight simming.
Go for the visual approach 26 left and Alaska 19 0.
Okay, everything is in sync. Again, lights are still on checked. 4,000. Look at the charts. 4,000. Sager is at 3,500. Sager is farther up ahead. $200 to go.
Vantage ground, Skyhawk 172 Sierra Lima is ready to taxi with Kilo at Signature West.
4,000.
172 Sierra Lima, Vantage ground, runway 16 right, taxi via Alpha Charlie.
Alpha Charlie 16 right, gauge over at 2 Sierra Lima.
Bearing 1141, John, my ground, runway 20 right, taxi via Alpha Lima, cross runway 20 left, Alley. DHJM flighting 080.
080, Bobtail. And again, 080. I should make it a habit of setting that heading bug. .080. Where is he bringing us? 080. What a beautiful scene here. Look at that. Just quickly. It's pretty. Oh, there you go. Distracting myself in the midst of a task. Speed is okay. Yeah, a bit more. You can see there. You can already hear it in the engine sound. Should have enriched my mixture just a tiny bit earlier. A lot more power there. Good. Engine is still okay. Oil temp is low, but intercepting the final soon. Yes, indeed.
Direct clearance, Skyhawk November 13069er, radio check.
PHJ, flight 180.
180 port at Mike.
Or 13609er, loud and clear.
Cessna November.
Now, because we're flying 200 or 196 for approach, 180 makes sense, right? It's a 20-degree angle to intercept that.
IFR, North Las Vegas.
I'm also expecting a different altitude soon, but oh no, there's the glide slope already. There is the glide slope already.
At PHJM, 3 miles from Snake, flight 170, maintain 3000 till established localized, cleared ILS 20 right approach.
170, just 3000, and we're cleared for the ILS 20 right approach.
Cessna 13609er on departure, flighting 330, maintain
Back to
VFR at below
170.
2400. Departure frequency 128.1.
Keep my speed up, by the way.
3571.
It's good for 172, especially in dense airspace where there are commercial jets and stuff, just to keep your speed up. If you fly very slow at the 172, ADC doesn't like that.
128.1.
At least Keith told me, which I totally... We were actually on a final approach there with the jets behind us, which was really, really exciting.
Read that correct.
Dennis Ground Skyhawk 1720, holding short 16 right for pattern.
350, looking at the charts.
Report midfield down each time, runway 16 right, clip take off.
Report midfield each time, Skyhawk 1720,
3000.
16 right.
Yeah. Needle is active, localizer. This is cool, guys.
1141, Jummy Tower, runway 20
We
right,
practiced
clip
this
take off.
before, but now we're incorporating those skills as part of an end-to-end flight here, IFR flight. But again, the en route part, it was to me too conceptual still. I studied it on a too conceptual level because, while actually there's much more going on there in flows and management. Should have made my turn a bit earlier for 220. I can manage to capture it anyways, but oh. Alright, let's concentrate here. And I should also actually set my do multiple things at the same time. Should stay at 3000. Oh no, I'm cleared actually. I'm cleared, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. Glide slope captured.
With Alpha, performing Cat 5.
Alright, slowly creeping in on that ILS.
3 Alpha, Santa Maria ground.
Less of a descent.
Runway 30 taxi via Alpha.
Good.
Runway 30 taxi via Alpha.
Now my GPS is now not doing anything. And I think I should actually have activated the approach. So I know what my distance is from each and every waypoint now. Even though we're on the glide slope, I think that would make sense.
13069er, correction, runway 3.
So again, I'm not incorporating the GPS.
You're showing logged in as
nicely.
13609er. Verify call sign.
I do have set the tower already, so we can easily swap. Nice speeds. Yeah. Again, everything is on. Make sure it should be full in.
I typed in opposite without, so 13069er.
Switch to tail.
Yeah, this is fun. So, in a way, all of the departure stuff and the arrival, well, also the arrival, a bit of the arrival stuff, but also the approach stuff, I've already practiced many times before as part of my own training. The en route stuff, I never practiced before. And you can tell.
EHJM, contact John Wayne Tower
126. Over the tower, pop touch.
visual 26 left. Alaska 1904, Las Vegas Tower, wind variable 4, only 26 left, go to land.
Go to land, 26 left, Alaska 1904.
John Wayne Tower, Sky Pop Delta, Mike is on the 20 right approach.
EHTIM, John Wayne Tower, only 20 right, go to land, wind 230 at 7.
Clear land 20 right, Bravo Delta Unique. That was interesting.
And midfield for Skyhawk 1720 then.
So, again, I should just concentrate. This is again a sterile cockpit phase.
16 right, clip the option.
16 right, clear for the
But the flight went actually pretty well. I was messing around, it wasn't that difficult. But we survived, we didn't make any mistakes. The only initial apparent mistake we made was with filing our flight plan.
Alright, 13069, stay again, your destination.
North Las Vegas.
But apparently we were right with our tech route. So that was also good. Also good practice to write that stuff down, by the way.
20 left, taxi via Alpha Hotel, Charlie Kilo.
20 left via Alpha Hotel,
but
Charlie
mostly en
Kilo
route
for
management,
Skyhawk,
cockpit
069.
management. How do I practice that other than just doing these flights over and over and over? Alright, flying the approach, concentrating now on my decision altitude. Would not be a real problem. This is not interesting anymore, I guess. Yeah, Linux, exactly. Butter smooth. So our decision altitude was 255. So that means that we now passed our 1,000 feet change or difference, delta.
Santa Maria grounds is Skyhawk November 550.
So we're just pretending that we're still in IMC.
Okay.
Again, as a habit.
Roger,
So put in my. Well, I'm not going to put in my first notch flaps actually. Just wait with that until the last moment.
1904 off 26 left at Alpha 6.
American 1904, cross runway 26 to right at Alpha 6, stated to right, join Bravo 6, contact ground 121.1.
Right.
Okay, cross 26 right, Alpha 6, right Bravo 6, and connect ground, Alaska 1904.
Bit above the glide slope, so descending a bit faster than 450. .500 feet. We can already set some flaps here. Already we have a visual here, but come on, push down. Come on. So it really likes to fly. My gosh. Can rather be above the glide slope than beneath. There is white bands. Come on, push down. Yeah, this is interesting practice actually. Get down. Down. Just still looking at my needles there.
Vegas ground.
Ignoring my sights.
1904, Bravo 6.
So 200. Actually already 100 feet. Decision height.
Taxi Las Vegas ground, taxi E gates via Bravo 6 Charlie.
Watch my speed here.
The E gates Bravo 6 Charlie.
And now we look outside. Kind of 255, a bit more. And hey, we see the runway. Made it. So,
Join
yeah.
Tower, Skyhawk November 13069er, only short 20 left at Kilo.
Look at this airfield, it's so pretty. John Wayne made it, guys. First IFR flight.
Sky 13069,
that was an
tower,
adventure.
Kilo, line up and wait.
Made the field
20
full
left
of laps.
at Kilo, line up and wait for Skyhawk 069.
We're gonna do this many, many times. What a wonderful. Trimming down. Yes, landing lights are already were already on before we reached even the John Wayne area. Look at that! Isn't it pretty? Other traffic there on the runway.
Nice tower, Skyhawk 1720.
Linux wanted to have a butter smooth landing. Let's see if we can honor his request.
Alpha parking.
IFR, first IFR landing. There you go, on the center line, smooth, nose down, flaps up. Yes! And as always, with every training flight, my brain feels like popcorn.
That was one heck
And
of
that's
a
a
landing.
nice feeling, actually.
Cessna 069er.
Hotel to the right. Thanks, Dad. Thank you for watching.
Kilo, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff.
Hotel.
20 left at Kilo for Skyhawk 069.
PL PHJ MTX parking via Bravo, monitor ground. Have a good day.
Via Bravo to parking, and we'll monitor ground. Thanks for the help today.
Mark 1141, contact Los Angeles Center 125.27.
Let's park over there. Look at these jets, wow. Landing lights off, strobe lights off, lean for ground. Very good. Where are we going to park? I see some Skyhawks over there. I feel like a commercial pilot right now, so let's just park it like we started, next to a Learjet citation kind of thing, because I feel big.
American 1141, Los Angeles Center, climbing tape level 230.
Oh, there's actually a one Skyhawk there. No, I'm going to go for the Skyhawk then, and then point my nose towards the citation, because with that fence behind it, might be a bit difficult.
Gentlemen, clearance Piper 444, Foxtrot Golf with radio check.
Alrighty. Face off with the Learjet. Boom. And there we go. Brakes. Set it to 1,000. Keto. Take my time. Transponder off.
Gentlemen, clearance Piper 444, Foxtrot Golf with radio check.
1200.
4 Foxtrot Golf, how do you read?
Do we need to do anything with our
thank you. 4 Fox Golf.
GPS plan? No. Avionics off. We're gonna test off to both. Yeah, magnetors are working. Cut off. Magnetors off. Batteries off. Parking brake set. Door open. Seat belts released. Man. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Linux. We did it. That was something else. Thank you so much for your support, guys, and your tips and your co-piloting. Man. Okay. That was so much fun, and it wasn't really hard, but it was confusing, and even more so, not that what I needed to do was confusing, but I was confused. I confused myself. I created confusion. That's the main lesson that I had. I mean, we departed from Palm Springs. My tech routing was good. That really didn't really mess me up, but our tech route was good. My departure was good. My initial checks were good, and I also used my checklist during cruise, not during arrival. I did not do that at all. So you can clearly see that I was cognitively overloaded, and I had no flow whatsoever during my en route. I managed to do everything. Also, my A to C went pretty well. I could have been more proactive, but I was not in front of my IFR game. I was behind, and I was just reacting. I was not reflective, but reflexive. I was just responding to stuff. Oh, that's interesting, and that's like a dog almost. That's not good. And how am I going to practice that other than just doing this over and over and over, which goes beyond the checklist? It's like you need to systematically develop and sustain situational awareness. Where am I now? What am I going to do? Look one time at your primary area, then look at your GPS, set something, and look back again. There's a dance going there, and I don't get it. I don't get it. Go get a Belgian beer right now. Exactly. Thanks, Finish. Again, thank you. You've earned a beer. Sharky, thanks for the follow. Thanks, guys. What are we going to do? I need to... It's already quite late, actually. Mrs. Uncertified is already expecting me to be there on her couch or even in bed. Disconnect.
Disconnected.
Right. I like to see my landing first. And anything else? No, not really, I think. Let's see. Let's go up. Beautiful, John Wayne. Beautiful classical John Wayne, and here is our flight path. Yeah, so in terms of the approach, you could see that I've been practicing that. I was doing that with one hand and I could do other things at the same time. Well, no winds, and obviously I've got a visual. I was focusing on my instruments though, but you can see that I've practiced that. We've been routed just over John Wayne, as you can see, at 8,000, and we just were flying. Actually, we were just flying a downwind and then a base, and then we very nicely got vectored to the localizer there. I could have been indeed a bit more proactive, like Stefan, you guys already mentioned. Just ask the controller what kind of approach. We can also request an approach. Don't know whether we could have already done that, requesting an approach rather than asking the approach controller. So that's something procedurally that I'm not quite sure about. But my main challenge again was the en route part, which I never practiced before, other than just setting radials or doing a holding or doing partial instruments flying. And that's obviously one of the disadvantage or limitations of doing the training that, like I did. I was tackling each skill or scenario almost in an isolated manner, but obviously once you connect all of those isolated skills or scenarios, there is something else going on, a bigger meta-reflective kind of thinking that needs to happen to connect all of those different scenarios, so you have an idea, what is my entire flight, how do I monitor my flight progress? And that's what I never practiced actually before. So this was very, very healthy, very, very educational. Actually, it couldn't actually not been any better than this. Landed on the center line. Let's have a look. And then I'll call it quits. Here we go. I guess even a bit here. Where are we? Beautiful weather. We did not pop or fly through any clouds. Here you can see, this is also fun, by the way. You can see the glide slope here, so I was nicely tucked in. Yeah, so with the flaps, that's the only thing. Really anticipate that flap pitch up, push down, or rather slow down first and then put in the flaps. Control P. How nice. Door open. Now my landing was okay. Yeah, nose down. It's perfect. Perfect. Luckily that went well. Yeah. En route, that's the biggest lesson, and I don't know how to tackle that. So if you got any suggestions, please let me know how I can rehearse that kind of thinking outside of the sim, or whether I should just fly over, or yeah, have an instructor or whatever. It's very interesting. Just fly for as much as possible. It will get easier. Roger, finish. Table Cobra if you want. Thank you, Stefan. I will look at your videos. Thanks. I'm French but living in Belgium. Very good. Leffe or something. Yeah, that triggered my dad, obviously. Yeah, so let me see. Can I go? It's always a bit tricky to disable the flight controller here. There's one last picture. It's such a pretty airplane. We did our first IFR flight. I did my first IFR flight. It's wonderful. Okie doke. So that completes my first IFR flight. We're going to do so many more. Next up, we're going to fly, not today, but in my next stream, we're going to fly IFR from one non-towered airport to the next, which is a bit different. And again, I need to optimize, develop that en route flow, because I need to learn a lot more there. Interesting. Anything else? Well, again, the checklist that I'm using is a free download. Hop over to UncertifiedPilot.com. Latest blog post. You can download it as well, and use it. And again, guys, thank you for your support and tips. Once more, I really appreciate your presence here. Finish, Stefan, Dad, obviously, Linux, many new faces here also. Peter, thank you for being here. Thank you for following. Also, Linux, thank you for your subscription, even though you thought you already were subscribed. Appreciate that support. Thank you very much. As always, happy flights and blue skies. Hoping to speak to you on the Discord or on Twitter. In any case, next time we're going to fly IFR again, non-towered to non-towered. Excited. Bye, guys.
Palm Springs Tower, Skyline Hotel Tango, Mike is 10 miles north of airport at 3000 with information X-ray for a full stop, landing 13 left defensive inbound.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, requesting straight in for 13.
That's fair.
Remember, correction, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left, and clear to land, wind 0905.
Clear to land runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango, Mike.
Palm Springs clearance plus 4658 is type PC12 slam call, request clearance to Vegas S-file.
Hollis 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S-file, and I'll be forward stepping. Hollis 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport. VFI Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Check by level 2, 405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Square to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Presso 3. Initially climb 7,000 respective for 5, departure 167, squawk 63 left 6 plus or 65.
Pause 4658, readback is correct. Tango to Mike, taxi to the ramp via Echo maintenance frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via Echo and remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237, Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left, traffic. Left downwind, runway 26 left, report base.
And left downwind 26 left, and report your base, 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower, United 242, on the visual for 20 right, right base.
United 242, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170.
Clear to land.
Here 5208, Kilo Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at level. Number 237, Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Phase about 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs right plus 4658, east traffic, weather, calling for taxi.
Hollis 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good.